Separated by the Salish Sea, connected by the real Graps in BC. This is the Cup Check Wrestling Podcast with Aaron Schultz and Corey Ace Trelaw.
Cup Check Wrestling. We're here on night 2 of a buy one, get one free extravaganza. Aaron Schultz, Corey Ace Trelaw. Ace, I'm just happy I was able to let the stars align to catch both nights of WrestleMania. You, still at home, all settled in Nanaimo. How was your Mania weekend? Did you bring anyone to the house? Were you able to catch it with any friends or family? Were you able to make a spectacular of the granddaddy of them all this weekend?
All things considered, it wasn't a terrible weekend, actually. I'm still recovering a bit from the cold the other day, so I didn't get up to too much. But my dad came over for both nights, so that was nice. We got to catch the show together. I don't think we might not have since last year at 41 because we had a few people over for that. But yeah, no, I was gonna say it wasn't a huge crowd, but it was still good. All things considered, despite what I'm sure we'll be getting into in a moment here. It was a fun weekend. But yeah, just because I was feeling so gross, I couldn't really do a whole lot of the stuff I'd like to do. Usually, try to get some buddies together, order some pizza. I did order a pizza actually, so I was excited about that. I actually, and because of my free Domino's points that I forgot about, I got a free medium. So that was probably the highlight of night one, for me at least. But yeah, all around, I'd say it was a pretty good weekend. How about you?
I can't
You
believe
had a
that.
pretty crazy one. Yeah.
Very crazy one. First of all, you're not gonna risk your boys and your girls to catch your germs. You're gonna put the poor pizza guy in front of you, though. I mean, that's kind
I
of
know.
disrespectful to our worker. All for a medium pizza. If it was a large, I might understand, but medium, I mean,
Oh,
was it
of
two
course,
topping
of
at
course.
least, or?
It was pepperoni and bacon. Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you go for this one.
There
Yeah,
you go.
no, crazy weekend for me. Did not work on the Friday, but still had an early wake up because I caught the first flight out of Kamloops to Calgary, all the way up north to Grand Prairie, Alberta. So, one of my best pals in the world, fan of the podcast, Tori. He recently completed his practicum. He's graduating to become a teacher. So his loving wife Lexi threw a surprise party in Grand Prairie this last weekend. This is in the works for a couple of months. I got cheap flights 2 months ago, so this would work. I totally forgot it was during WrestleMania weekend though. So we get to Tori's place in Grand Prairie. He has a beautiful family of 4. Beautiful toddler little girl, a new baby boy, and so the way I had, because it's not the first time I've been to Grand Prairie on a surprise, and I had to make my appearance a surprise because it's a surprise party. That's the gimmick. I gotta follow it. So when I went to All Out, AW's pay-per-view in Toronto, I not only offered to get or offered to bring you merch. I also extended that invite to Tori as well. He wanted an Adam Copeland shirt. Fair play, Toronto. This the season. So I never sent it to him because Canada Post was going on strike. So this dispute lasted for ages and ages. So I'm like, we'll just wait. But then they resolved that like a month or so ago. He said, nope, you keep it because he's going to be coming here in just a matter of days. So he's like, oh, you just keep it. So I brought this shirt along with me, and my goal was to give it to his toddler. You give this to your dad, and then she would give it to him, and I thought I could sneak up right behind him as soon as he realizes what the shirt was. However, like a prime Papa Shango at WrestleMania 8, I totally missed my cue. He realizes what the shirt is too fast. He's like, there's no fucking way he mailed this. Schultze, where are you? There's no way. There's no way. So I'm like, shit, what am I going to do? And I just decided to wait inside his daughter's room until eventually he found me. I'm like, beans, what are you going to do? So he
Like
looked
the
at me.
worst game of hide and go seek.
Oh, the worst. It's just like, yeah, know how Papa Shango felt. I mean, God, maybe I shouldn't be so critical of wrestlers. I had a very low stakes situation and I absolutely blew my cue. So maybe this is why I'm not in the business, but he realizes it's me. He's excited. He realized, I can't believe you came out on a WrestleMania weekend. And because Tori's also a wrestling fan, he was game to watch night 1 of WrestleMania. So we had a nice little surprise party on the Friday, did some fun family stuff on the Saturday, watched WrestleMania night 1, and flew back here today for night two, and yeah, it turns out I almost didn't make it, I suppose. So I had a very brief layover in Calgary to get back to Kamloops. Uh, my plane from Grand Prairie to Calgary is just a few minutes earlier. So basically, was supposed to land at 1:20 Mountain Time. My boarding for my other flight was also 1:20, and then gates close at 1:45. So I'm like, okay, but I'm hungry. I didn't eat anything for breakfast. So my flight to Calgary arrives a few minutes early. I'm like, I can sneak in a meal. And I get to my gate at 1:43. Not 1:45, Ace, but 1:43. I've been to many airports before. However, I show them my boarding pass that says, gates close 1:45. Show my ID. And the lady at the counter is just taking ages and ages, just talking on the walkie-talkie. Another lady comes, and she's like, this is your lucky day. And I wasn't rude. I was still smiling, but I no-sold it. I wasn't like, oh, thank you for letting me in, because there's been a position where I've had to do that, where the gates have closed, and I was late for various reasons, where I've had to go, oh, thank you. This time I was like, the gate closes at 1:45, though, and I got here at 1:43, so it's all good.
That's like your version of, and then I told her, "Fuck you." I love how like
That
that's
is-
you're like, "Oh, I really stuck it to her."
Yeah, you know me. I am not rude. I found the other end of customer service.
Yeah.
It takes me a lot for me to blow my top. I think I would, not that I would like raise enough of a fuss to get the police involved, but I would be choked if I got there before the gate closes and they wouldn't let me in. But I knew, hey, no, I had 2 minutes. I felt like Bryan Danielson actually when he's getting a rope, when his opponent's getting a rope break.
Oh yeah.
He goes, I have 5. You know what? I had 2. I had 2 minutes. So I got here probably a little bit after, before 3 Pacific time, where WrestleMania is starting, where we're on the Pacific Coast. And after experiencing night 1, I did not want to watch night 1 live. Tori and I, we did not watch night 1 live. We watched at like maybe 8:30 at night. A lot of fast forwarding. We got through that show in 3 hours. I plan to do that again today. So I guess we should get to the shows. We'll get to the shows in all its raw details. But Ace,
You almost said glory.
2 nights, 4 hours each, 8 hours total, pretty much. Your thoughts on this weekend we just had? I feel like it's a tale of 2 manias. I'm still trying to think to properly express what I'm feeling following the end of night 2, because it's vastly different from how I was feeling at the end of night 1. In the aggregate go, what did you think of Mania weekend?
Yeah. It's kind of good, I think, that we did this in a two-part, because if we had just done yesterday, I don't know if I would have been as complimentary.
Same!
Yeah, yesterday was pretty tough. I kept seeing some memes going around too on Twitter referring to WrestleMania Saturdays versus WrestleMania Sundays, like just performers wise. And boy, is that starting to ring true. Um, yeah, I don't know. Overall, I don't know even if I can say this weekend, if you look at it like collectively as a whole, was a major success, because I don't know. Yeah, there was some good, don't get me wrong, but I think the bad outweighs it, because there was just so much bad. And as we'll, I'm sure, get into shortly, the bad wasn't even just the matches, because we didn't really get a whole lot of those to begin with. So yeah. What are your kind of early thoughts? Because yeah, I was gonna say the other part of this too, we've not really or at all even really talked about anything wrestling related, just with you being so busy. And so this is like actually kind of fun, because this is both of our fresh takes. Like I haven't really heard what you've had to think. You haven't heard what I have to think. But what are kind of your early thoughts going into it?
All right, because as you mentioned, thank God we didn't do that show after night 1, because I had a much more pessimistic and dire outlook on the state of the Fed. Because here's the thing, night 2 overall, a better show than night 1 for sure. However, since WrestleMania has become 2 nights, I feel like it's not necessarily fair to judge a singular card of a 2-day event versus the previous 1-day events. I think it's just a little bit more of a different beast. These cards are always going to be more watered down, spread out. The wealth is going to be spread. And in the age of being on Peacock and now being on ESPN in the States, on Netflix internationally, including Canada, there's a lot more advertisements. And boy, there's a lot of fucking advertisements this weekend. Far too much. And so at the end of night one, I thought, in all honesty, because another weird thing I like to do, I like to not count WrestleMania 2020. I like to not count that one just because that was such an anomaly in the Performance Center. I feel like it's just not fair to put. At the end of night one, I thought I'd rather watch that pandemic WrestleMania than night one. And I thought this may have been the worst singular WrestleMania branded card I have seen live in my time watching. Worse than 27, worse than just about any other card. I'd rather watch the Marathon 32 card, quite frankly. But it's weird because all my gripes are not resolved. I mean, my gripes are, first of all, there's too many fucking advertisements. But there also does not need to be 2 nights of WrestleMania. Yes, it would be insane to stop that now, considering you can fill the same stadium twice in one night. It'd be stupid to stop that if you're a business. But you can cut a lot of stuff from night one and night two and make one pretty good card. I thought night two was a pretty good show at the end of the day. Ended really well, but I still have those gripes. But I had day two alleviate a lot of my concerns, but my big thing with WrestleMania, my big gripe over the last couple of years, it just has not felt like WrestleMania. Yeah, it's in a stadium, but there are lots of stadium shows we can see throughout the year. But I think my thing is WrestleMania week, WrestleMania, the event, it is supposed to be a celebration of this business we like, and it has just evolved into something that's even beyond WWE. You've got all these promotions from all across the world coming into whichever the host city of WrestleMania is, and it's obviously like the number one tourism event for wrestling fans all over the world coming in. It's like a big celebration of pro wrestling for this week, for this weekend. Like our buddies who've never watched wrestling, who don't know shit about anything, who don't know nothing about nothing, they've heard of WrestleMania at the very least in all likelihood, and probably not just because of us. And it's for fans of young and old, current fans, old fans, workers, everybody to come together. And I feel like WrestleMania's kind of lost a bit of the soul for the most part. It's just entrance and matches and then a bunch of advertisements. And as my pal Tori noted on Saturday, I mean, we didn't get a video package, a vignette, until the main event. We don't even have those, let alone a lack of backstage segments, a lack of legends coming together, or thank God we had like one little funny segment on day two, but even something like that, it feels like the soul.
I don't know. I'd say thank God for that one after seeing it.
Fair play. We may have different takes on that one. Who knows? But I thought WrestleMania, especially after night one, it felt like corporate, soulless, very apocalyptic. I can't even think of the words. It did not have soul. It felt like fast food WrestleMania. And then there was a little bit of a better offering on night two. And we talk about sticking the landing and TV shows and everything, etc., etc. Imagine if the last taste of our weekend for these fans who actually paid these godforsaken prices was night one rather than night two. At least you stuck the landing. At least you showed if there is a fork in the road of corporate synergy and capitalism and just milking your fans for everything they're worth and not caring about the product that brings them there versus some good old-fashioned wrestling at the end of the day can keep your company pretty darn good. I hope that they choose the great pro wrestling side of things. So we got some issues, but it shows that there's at least hope for night two, I suppose. Like, if you still got to give us all the advertisements on God's green earth to make sure we're paying like $10 a month rather than 50, maybe we can't lose that battle. But
You
There's
know
still
what? Honestly, after this, I was gonna say real quick, just after this, I'd go back to paying the 50 if it meant
yeah.
no. Like it's crazy. Sorry to interrupt, but just
No,
that
I
I
was just
know
putting the cherry on
this has
top of
been a
mine. I was
problem.
going for ages. I'm sorry. I was
Uh,
putting the cherry on top of mine. I just ended. I went on for ages. I know, just because I thought I had this all figured out after night one, but then night two completely called it audible. So I'm kind of lost here, but I just finally landed the plane. I'm with you on that one, though. You have the floor for a good little bit here, Ace. You go off, Kane.
yeah, no, well, thank you. No, I know that this has been how they've been running for the last couple of years. Yeah, I don't know if this was the first time I really thought about it critically, or this was the first time I really cared enough, maybe knowing that we were going to be covering it afterwards, but yeah, it was crazy how much it felt because it wasn't even just. I was wondering with Netflix because they obviously for at least for the Canadian one, I'm not sure for internationally but it would show like ad 2 of 8 or 3 of 8 the whole. But that wasn't the only ad. It was also your fucking ice cream cones before the drumstick zone, whatever. Then it was 2K25. Then like it was just ad. And I know obviously you got to do something to keep the lights on. It's again, it's been a problem for a
I mean,
while, and
they do not need to keep the lights on. This is just
absolutely not. No, yeah,
milking as
absolutely
much
not.
as.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. And then they turn around and they wonder why, what I think both altogether it was what 50,000 and then 55,000, and I'm sure those tickets didn't drop all that much despite McAfee slashing prices for us, but yeah, just it was disappointing this year. I don't know, like I've definitely not felt that same luster before that, in previous years we've had. Obviously, we've grown up with wrestling and but yeah, I don't know. And even like to the point you had mentioned earlier, obviously with the 2 nights, the card's going to be diluted. Doesn't need to be. And I know this is, again, nothing new. Like they have the talent and they have the roster for sure that they could easily put 10 matches on each night if they wanted. And it could easily, if they gave each match enough time, but just man, you know, there was a meme I saw of Sami Zayn on Twitter earlier, and it was him just kind of standing in the before the show started, and the caption on it said, "How am I going to squeeze this into 7 minutes?" And how am I going to
Match
make
was
this
seven
work in seven
minutes.
minutes? I
The
think
match
yeah,
was
was it
7 minutes.
8? Yeah, it
It
was
was
seven
like
minutes. So
I felt
it's
like it was closer to 7, but I digress. But I think to answer to your point, because I don't know if we saw as many ads for, say, like more of the beloved WrestleMania weekends in this format, like 39 and
no.
38. Overall, the product, it's not as hot. I mean, I think objectively we can say that. I mean, how much of a struggle it was this year and just looking at ticket advances. And it happens. Wrestling's cyclical. There are boom periods, there are down periods. This is very much the tail end of the boom period. And I think when you're hot and everything's running and you got stars who are at their peak, you can get away with a lot of stuff. I don't think you can get away with a lot given this build and really how many ads there were. I mean, Tori, my pal, for example, he's got 2 young kids. He just graduated. He hasn't had a lot of time for WWE lately. He was shell shocked at a 5 minute ad break on WrestleMania. And that is too
Yeah.
much. And quite frankly, we talk about, oh, what are you going to do for Mania weekend? I don't know if I ever would have a watch party for Mania
Yeah.
unless it starts like an hour or so late because I am not inclined to watch the show live because it is a lot of downtime. It's too much, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The ad time, I think, again, you could probably pull the statistic up. The ad time was almost as much, if not much more than the total match time. Like it was astronomical. It was crazy. Yeah,
Mhm. I got the stat. Well, I think this is just Saturday. Don't think we have a. I don't know if we
yeah,
have the
probably
number.
not for Sunday just yet.
There's a there's a good count on Twitter called W Wait Times. At W Wait Times, it means WWE Wait Times. It shows the number of advertisement, of match time, and total wait time. I think includes entrances and everything in between for bell to bell. So for night one, for Saturday, the total wait time was 2 hours and 28 minutes and 47 seconds. The total match time was an hour and 23 minutes and 29 seconds. And then the total Netflix ads, that's its own separate beast, 23 minutes and 30 seconds. In total, 35% of this near 4 hour show was actual wrestling, which is that's a lot of fat to cut to get to the steak.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even, I mean, even us, we have I won't say very different, but like I've always been someone that maybe, appeals more to the more cinematic stuff. But, that a lot of that wasn't even including like your entrances or your promos, or most of that was just straight up advertisements. And when I don't know, I always feel like if somebody like me's complaining, I can only imagine what what you're going through with it, because oh boy, like it was just constant. It honestly took me out of it. Like it was so hard to get into after. And especially you get a world title women's match for 6 minutes, 5 minutes. You just had 5 6 minutes of commercials. Here's another five like it's brutal. Like I'm not gonna watch the Hogan doc. I don't want to. Stop. Like it's not gonna happen.
You know me
But
as much
yeah,
as I know me because, yeah, that's the thing. I made sure I did not watch WrestleMania live for a purpose. And because
yeah.
if I was like that, I just had a bunch of ambulances come up and down the street here. I had to mute my mic. I'd been one of those ambulances sent to the hospital with an aneurysm if I had to sit through that live. So, no, but yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, I'll try and judge this, like, because, like, granted, I got through both nights in just about 3 hours or so, a little bit less for night two. But yeah, I have to judge this show beginning to end and note that an hour of ads is just part of the show. Speaking of
Are
which,
you enjoying it?
that guy was nowhere to be seen this weekend. Did you realize that?
No, yeah, never.
Even after this night two, which we'll get to, a pretty well regarded main event, just in the early stages of the show being over, he was nowhere to be seen. There was no Triple H. This guy who loves to take credit for fucking everything was nowhere to be seen. He was in hiding. He wasn't even on the post show. That was blocked from the fans. This guy, I don't know if he's fearing for his job. I don't know if he's fearing from the fans, but that was insane to see that even him, even Triple H, don't want this smoke.
Yeah, I guess we did have Cena there to come out and welcome everyone. So Triple H got the night off from that. But boy,
That's a good segue, Ace, because we did have two shows. We might as well get into them. Otherwise, we may be here all night. We may be longer than those advertisement breaks. So, WrestleMania 42, day one, WrestleMania Saturday from Las Vegas, Nevada at Allegiant Stadium. Here's the thing: ticket sales, it's been talked about long going into this show. At the end of the day, like nearly 50,000, whatever they distributed. I don't know how much was papered near the end, but it's looked less than last year, of course, but it still looked like a stadium for WrestleMania, so it still looked good on TV. So John Cena, as he mentioned, he comes out as the host of WrestleMania. He's in a suit with the most preposterous pompadour of all time. I cannot believe this. He says the road to WrestleMania has been chaos. Very polarizing, as Michael Cole would say. Cena says the time for talk is over, though. The time to deliver is now. Who's going to deliver? The answer was just about nobody, as we'll get into on day one. Hey, it's your boy Cena. He's back. He was in the suit. He wears that suit a lot. I don't know. Has enough time passed by for you to enjoy Cena on both these nights?
one of my favorite posts that I saw from this so in the the graphics for Cena where they show like the cartoon or whatever of the salute and that there was one of now Cena in the suit and doing the salute, and somebody had posted that it what was the quote? It said it looked like Chinese propaganda, and I thought that was just so funny. So that was one of my favorite, just
The suit.
um
I'm happy you got the suit in. I
yeah.
can't believe this guy still ran to the ring in dress shoes. There's
He
no
said he
way
wasn't
this
gonna.
guy stretched. This guy did not stretch. He did not stretch out his quads or anything like that. I thought he was gonna tear his Achilles or something. Thank God he's okay. But
No,
we
as for
open.
the actual I was gonna say quick, as for the actual promo, it is nice to still see him. It's tough because you knew you weren't really gonna get much of anything from it, but it's to me it's still nice seeing Big Match John. So that was good.
Absolutely. So we open WrestleMania with the Usos and LA Knight taking on Austin Theory and Logan Paul of the Vision, and I show speed. Mercifully, the Usos' entrance is quicker than usual, probably because the first hour of day one is on ESPN2 in the United States, and they did have a 1 hour TV time limit. I show speed is dressed up like Danhausen as he's alongside Austin Theory and Logan Paul. So these men, God bless them, they're working a house show opening match here on the opener of WrestleMania weekend. We talked about time and place. WrestleMania weekend is not the time to do a house show. This was quite mid. The only bit of heat it really has is when they two spots with I Show Speed. There are a pair of spots, say, like when he does a backflip off the top turnbuckle, and LA Knight just no sells it, just gives him a big ol' lariat. And I Show then slams LA, and he flexes, and only for LA just to get up and no sell that as well. Theory is telling a reluctant I Show Speed to hit the ropes to help execute a move on LA Knight, but I Show is taking forever because he's hesitant. LA Knight then shoves Theory into I Show Speed. He then hits the blunt force trauma on Austin Theory for the win. Post-match, Logan Paul punches I Show Speed because it's all his fault they lost. And he's about to hit a splash on the outside and put I Show Speed through the announce table. But the Usos and LA Knight make the save. The Usos, they just straight up missed the 1D. They absolutely missed this by a country mile. It was just like a flapjack fallout on Logan Paul. I don't know if it was Jimmy or Jay who went for the cutter portion of this move. They just fucking missed. I did kind of laugh at that. It was bad. And then credit to I Show. I mean, I can't say this match is good, but this is a nice little spot this segment. I Show Speed. He's a very athletic bloke. He goes on the top post of the near the turnbuckle, hits this pretty cool like Kevin Knight's UFO splash to the outside through the announce table. The fans do pop for that. I can't say this was overall a really good segment. This was just yeah, truly outside of just I Show Speed being on ESPN2, I don't know who this is for. The splash was cool, but I just can't believe a match like this was allowed on WrestleMania, quite frankly.
Yeah, the time again, this is a theme of the night. The time definitely hurt it. Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't as bad as I kind of think I should have thought it was. But again, I think it was just because it was, not really much to go off of. And again, the only thing this is going to be remembered for is the splash at the end, which, funny enough, it was in my group chat, we were joking about it, because iShow was up there for so long, and we were joking like, oh, he doesn't want to do this. Like he's up there being like, oh, like no, like he finally does, obviously, and it goes off without a hitch. But you can kind of see for a second where he was just like, oh God. But yeah, not really much to this. And again, really quick, that could have been a Raw main event, Raw opener.
This is a house show match.
Yeah,
a whole lot of not much,
a whole lot of nothing. Yeah.
All right, but not a whole lot of nothing. Jacob Fatu is taking on Drew McIntyre in an unsanctioned match. I thought this was a pretty good match for all it is. Here's the thing: it's a WWE hardcore match. So you know what? We're talking about AEW and how they do hardcore matches. I mean, even if you don't go as extreme as the Hangman and MJF during their Texas Death Match, if they're advertising, say, an unsanctioned match or a street fight, they are going to give you just that. And with WWE, I'm not sure it's because of the Mattel sponsor or what it is, there is a limit on just how violent you can have an unsanctioned match. But both these men worked hard. There's a lot of back and forth brawling. One little spot I liked was Drew introduces a toolbox. He empties it out. Jacob then gets the toolbox somehow, and he threatens to hit Drew McIntyre with it. And Drew sells the threat because it was that Hell in a Cell match with CM Punk where he got hit with a toolbox and he got busted open the hard way, and he required a lot of staples, and he bled a lot. So you know what? That's canon. So good callback there. Another theme continuing. Drew grabs a cell phone because over the past few years at WrestleMania, he's had to grab a phone from some bloke in the front row and tweet from his Twitter.
Said it was his brother, all the way from Scotland.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good throw. Good brother. Although that's a pretty good gig. Once a year, you got to come out and just hand your brother your phone. That's not
Right?
too
Just,
bad.
hey, can you show up in Vegas? We'll put you on the Jumbotron. Like, sign me
There you
up,
go. Dude, that absolutely, especially with these prices. Holy smokes, we'll
Yeah,
take
you
that
kidding? Oh,
day of the week. So Drew records a video of him beating up Jacob. It's just another post for Twitter. Uh, Drew vertical suplexes Jacob onto a folded out steel chair. That was the most painful thing in the entire match. Drew is hitting Jacob over and over the head with a screwdriver. A very, Ace, if you hit me over the head with a screwdriver, I'd probably be gushing. There's no blood for Jacob here, though. I guess in hindsight, it's because of the main event, not just because it's a WWE hardcore match. Jacob goes to the top rope, though. Drew shoves him outside. He goes through a table. However, the match ends with Jacob hitting the best moonsault ever to Drew McIntyre through a table on the inside of the ring for the win. I don't know what happens next with Jacob. As we'll get to, it seems like that WWE title picture is pretty occupied for the foreseeable future. So I don't know where Jacob goes from here, but Drew McIntyre, death, taxes, and Drew McIntyre losing. He's the one stable thing in this world.
right. I actually thought it was a pretty good match. Again, it felt like it ended a little soon. It could have gone a little longer. I know they were a bit handicapped with the first hour being free. And it's not like you really could have cut any time from the opener, without them just not going on. But yeah, yeah, it was a good match. But again, yeah, I don't think they went where we probably thought they could have gone. Again, but I don't think that was a problem on their part. I think it was more the circumstances of we're gonna have you go on right before, you know, in a weird way too. This is kind of off topic, but in a weird way, it almost felt like with the first hour being free, like I definitely felt even watching it on Netflix here in Canada, where the whole show is free. Um, I definitely felt the difference in like it felt like two shows, if you get what I'm kind of like trying to say. Like it felt like that's the free stuff to get you to chill out for. Um, but yes, I think they were kind of handicapped, unfortunately, by that. But still a decent match. You're right. I know I heard Drew might be going away for a little bit, maybe to film something. Fatu, I don't know exactly what they do with yet. I'm sure he'll be working somebody. So we'll see kind of how that plays out in the coming weeks.
Mm-hmm. Moving forward, we've got the four-way match for the not the the WWE Women's World Tag Team
The other
Championships.
one.
Yeah, the other belts, the other promotion. AW WrestleMania. Not a big fan, quite frankly. How'd they get that trademark? But the irresistible forces of Nia Jax and Lash Legend defending against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria and Charlotte and Alexa Bliss and the Bella Twins. Or maybe not, dude. So Alexa Bliss is wearing a Firefly outfit as a tribute to the late Bray Wyatt. Lovely little touch. Charlotte is wearing a butterfly outfit to accompany her. So Nia and Lash are wearing Demolition tribute gear to the match. The Demolition just got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame over the weekend, so that's all nice and timely. And then finally, the Bellas come out, and Nikki, of course, had her injury. She's in the walking boot. She says she cannot compete, but she has a replacement, and it is the returning Paige, the former Saraya in AEW as well, but the former multi-time women's champion in WWE, former Divas champion, and I think she may have gotten the reign with the women's championship. Maybe it was just the Butterfly Divas belt. I can't remember, but
I think it was just the Divas, if I'm
I
not
think so.
mistaken.
I think you're right.
He gets
But yeah,
injured pretty early on too, right? So
yeah. This is the first time, because I can't remember when she left WWE proper. This is her first match, though, I believe, since 2017 or 2018. She, of course, had
that Sasha Banks one.
Yeah, so Sasha Banks, there's a spot on a house show. Sasha Banks just does a 2-foot kick in the corner to the back of into Paige's back, but it re-agitates a neck injury. Very basic thing. It just sucked that Sasha had to heat for that, and it sucked that Paige had to get hurt, but she was gone for years. She went to AEW when her contract expired. I don't think that they expected her to really work in AEW, but turns out she's cleared. She's been gone from AEW for about a year or so, but she's back in WWE. These fans loved Paige. I was trying to think of something similar for us, Ace. It's been 8 years since Paige has had a match in WWE. I was thinking like, okay, Paige got a pretty good pop. Uh, it didn't feel that long though, but then I remembered when the Hardy Boys returned to WWE at WrestleMania 33. That was also about like 8 years since Jeff Hardy's
Oh,
last
don't
WWE
say that,
match.
please. Oh my God.
Ah, we're old and
Oh,
death is
Jesus Christ.
imminent.
Yeah.
It's coming for you. It's right behind you,
I
actually.
guess that was about the different. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So there's
Because yeah,
probably
she
a lot.
when was she was what GM in like 1819, and then was she one
Yes.
of the COVID cuts?
I don't know. I don't know. I thought she rode until her contract expired, but either way, it's been a long time since she's had a match,
Yeah.
so is what we're trying to say. Uh, she does get a huge pop. It seems like it means a lot to a lot of these WWE fans. So for the most part, it's an average four-way match. It's nothing particularly good. It's nothing particularly bad either. Paige eventually does get a hot tag, and it really isn't all that much. It's some lariats and a vertical suplex, but the fans are loving her. The thing I found with Paige, she's in that AJ Lee boat of being very good for their time when they're breaking in on WWE, but Paige had a very lengthy absence, as is AJ Lee. I think both WWE, especially with their women's roster, and now the existence of AEW, I think the game is kind of sped up from them. And of course, Paige seems a little bit more limited because she does have that injury she has to deal with for the rest of her life. But she does what she can do pretty well, and that's getting over at the fans. So the match ends with Alexa going for the Twisted Bliss on Paige, but is distracted when Brie Bella drags out Charlotte and hits her with Nikki Bella's crutch. Alexa does try Twisted Bliss on Paige in the end, but Paige gets her knees up, hits her with the Rampage for the win. New champions are crowned. The crowd loves it. Paige looks like she's legit crying, and I know it's a little maybe a little harsh on Paige's work, but here's the thing. I do have a soft spot for Paige. I like it when, say she's not dating folks and defending them like Alberto Del Rio or Ronnie Radke, but I got a soft spot for Paige because I always have a soft spot for folks who had their careers taken away from them a little bit too early and are able to make a comeback and be able to kind of get a moment where they thought they would never get again. It's why, even though it was mostly looked down upon when she won the AEW Women's World Championship at All in Wembley in front of 80,000 people in 2023 in front of her home country, I thought it was a great moment for her because she had her career ripped away from her at first. And now she got this another moment here on WrestleMania. Not sure how great this match was, but a lovely little moment, a good WrestleMania surprise. This does get a thumbs up for me in the end.
Honestly, yeah, I was gonna say for a show that felt very soulless for a lot of it. This was definitely the feel good moment for me. Um, this is probably a very not I shouldn't say not appropriate. But like I don't know, Paige is somebody who I've definitely felt for over the years as well. Um, and not that age excuses it, but a lot of the bad stuff I think that was happening to her, I think it gives it context. Even stuff where maybe she was at fault, you know. I mean, we joke a lot about it now because WWE's run or not run, but most of their champions are 40 plus. Paige was 19 years old when she broke in.
Mhm.
And even just like, okay, you look at like El Patron, Del Rio, um, like with an age gap like that, she's in her early 20s at the time, clearly going through some issues, clearly going through some substance abuse. Not that I'm not just saying that to take the blame off of her, but I think it's something that definitely adds context to she was just a fucking kid mixed up with these horrible, like everything that's a lot of the stuff that's happened to her. I just like, I don't know. I feel so bad looking back. Maybe because she's similar to my age too. I just turned 31 myself. And that's the other part. We looked it up, my buddies and I. It's crazy to think this is like a big return for her. She's only like 32, 33. Like it's nuts how much time she still has if, I'm sure she's welcome as long as she wants to be. Wrestling's kind of that way where you never really truly retire. Um, but yeah, I don't know. To me, as someone who has seen her entire WWE career, and AEW. This is just a really nice moment. And like I said, in a show where there's a lot of stuff that I rolled my eyes at, this was kind of the one moment where I actually felt really good, especially for night one. Actually felt really good watching, and I was really happy to see Paige back and doing well. So hopefully this is the beginning. The match again, yeah, eh, nothing horrible. It served the purpose to have the moment of Paige coming back, and I know they're big on their moments, so that's what they got. But for Paige the person, I'm really happy, and I'm glad to see she's doing well.
It's funny you mention her age because, yeah, she is young. I think she's just like 33 or something now.
Nuts.
She was still the third youngest person in this match. I think only Lyra and only Lash Legends are younger than her. And she was on the main roster before folks like Bayley or Charlotte Flair or Alexa Bliss. So she was young. And to add to your point, she had to go through this growth in the social media era. Could you imagine if fucking Randy Orton had all of this exposed while he was on the road for like the first 4 years of his career? Holy smokes. Or just like even Brock Lesnar for the first, well, his 2 years. I mean, good grief. So, shout out to Paige. Keep trucking, and we'll be rooting for you, especially folks going through their battles. So, that was lovely to see. Continuing on, AJ Lee is defending the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship against Becky Lynch. So, Ace, I texted you after this show was over. I said, laughably bad. I take that back for the most part because this wasn't laughably bad on the aggregate. It was just kind of bad. We'll get to more of it. This part did make me laugh, though. So the band that does Becky Lynch's theme song is performing her song live. Or maybe not, brother. It's the most egregious lip-syncing performance I've ever seen. This is even like the Usos almost hit the 1D on Logan Paul closer than this guy was with lip-syncing, whoever this vocalist was. I don't even think they were playing the instruments. They were just there aura farming while tape of Becky Lynch's theme was going down. I mean, it's a banger of a tune, but I kicked myself. I mean, if you're there, boots on the ground, like last year with like Living Color and doing CM Punk's theme. Living Color, they're past their prime, but you know what? They played live. The lead vocalist lost his timing. It happens to every musician every now and then. Play live. I don't know, but I did laugh at just how comically out of sync this lip syncing was.
Yeah. You know what's funny actually? So I didn't know the band was called The Wonder Years. I didn't this might be a bit too old of a reference for you, but the Alicia Taylor, whoever whenever they said, "Ladies and gentlemen, The Wonder Years." I thought they meant the TV show, like Fred Savage, I was like, "What?" And then when I was like, "Oh, right." But I think I was looking on Twitter or something at the time too, but just to hear, I looked up, I was like, what the fucking Wonder Years? Like, I was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. But yeah,
Ladies
so
and
I
gentlemen,
don't think I noticed it right away, the lip sync. But yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, performing AJ Lee's theme song, Frasier.
Oh, I'd lose it for that. That would have got a big pop from me. That would have put night one into the stratosphere.
Oh shoot. All right, so for AJ, I thought this is a sweet little entrance. AJ just has a couple of dozen girls dressed up like her and they skip out to the ring. AJ's holding hands like the really little girls, so this is a lovely little entrance. So early on before AJ even enters, Becky Lynch is pointing fingers at referee Jessica Carr, who she has had issues with, hinting at tension. So bless, as well, like I mentioned, like my gripes or constructive critiques with AJ Lee. Becky is working her tail off to get the best match possible with AJ Lee in a very short amount of time. AJ has gotten marginally better over the last couple months, having worked with Becky a few times now, but Becky is still here. There are still levels to this in the end. AJ's going for the Black Widow, but Becky swings her into the middle rope. That looked scary. And Becky hits the manhandle slam, but AJ kicks out. Referee Jessica Carr is pulling Becky away from the corner after Becky keeps stomping AJ. Becky then points and shoves at Jessica Carr. Jessica Carr, like Earl Hebner and Triple H, points and shoves back. Becky Lynch
Love
then
that spot.
goes,
Oh,
It's like I love it when the referee just finally has enough of this bullshit, and we'll get to
Yeah.
more of this in a little bit because I don't know, this is something I can sink my teeth into. But eventually, Becky goes to lariat Jessica Carr, but the referee, maybe the one referee who's not dumb in this business, in storyline, Jessica Carr, she ducks, and Becky walks into a manhandle slam from AJ Lee for a near fall. Jessica Carr is still a pro at the end of the day. She does not fast count. She keeps her, she's an unbiased referee, this Jessica Carr. So Becky's in the corner. She does pull the referee in front of her to eat a splash from AJ. And while, Jessica Carr, she's trying to shake off that splash, Becky throws AJ's head first into the exposed turnbuckle, hits the manhandle slam for the win. She's the new Women's Intercontinental Champion, third time now. AJ had that look in her eyes that looked like she's going to be going away for a little while. The fans seem very interested in Becky and Jessica Carr at some point, and really, just because I have like Konosuke Takeshita and Kazuchika Okada taking forever and ever as trauma in my brain, I think now is the time to be getting to Becky Lynch and Jessica Carr. I understand she's pro wrestler by trade. She's been having some matches, I think, like in Evolve or something. It's time to pull the trigger on this. I want to see this sooner rather than later, and I think the fans want to see this too.
I didn't even know that. That'd be interesting. Yeah, I always thought she was just a referee. I shouldn't say just a referee. A referee is obviously really cool too.
What do you
But
mean,
yeah, I
just
didn't
a
know she was.
referee?
I didn't know she was a wrestler. That's cool.
Yeah, so she's a worker. So she's now here's the thing. I
No,
think
you did mention that once. Didn't you say she wrestled in a mask in NXT or Evolve or something?
I think
Or
so.
am I making
I
that up?
think this might have been during Elimination Chamber. I don't know if I mentioned the mask, but she did wrestle. She has had at least one match in Evolve. She is like a pro wrestler by
Okay.
trade. So here's the thing. I mean, I'm sure she's a referee for a reason on the main roster and not a wrestler, mind you. But you know, Becky Lynch, yep, she is an all-time great. She is one of the best to ever do this, at least in the United States and Canada. I think with some smoke and mirrors and the fans wanting to see this story, I think you can pull something pretty good out of this at the very least. So I hope they just pull the trigger on this sooner rather than later.
And as for the like for the end of Becky and AJ itself, um I almost don't know if AJ will be back for a while now. I know
Mhm.
she had that whole bit at the beginning before Mania of I want to work with this person and that person, and there's so many young talented women in the back. I feel like we maybe will get a match. Who knows? I I see her going away for a little bit here now, and which is fair. I mean, she's getting up there as well, and absolutely doesn't need to do this. Had her moment, got to come back, kind of bury that hatchet. So, I'd like to see her stick around. But yeah, I think we probably have seen the last of her for a little bit at least. I'm sure so, now.
Mhm. All right, so this wasn't a classic, mind you, but it felt like the first sincere WrestleMania match. At this point, it's Seth Rollins and Gunther. Now, we as much as we've been burying advertisements throughout this podcast days, so General Insurance is sponsoring the match, and I'd like to think that they tried to put a general costume on Gunther for corporate synergy, and he straight up told him to fuck off. I like to think in my mind that's what happened. Ring
I
General
mean,
Insurance.
they did have Mortal Kombat tonight for Penta's entrance, so I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah, I would hope that if he was saddled with that, he would tell them respectfully, "Fuck you."
Remember with the War Raiders last year? Like there's that fucking
Oh,
game
Clash
that happened.
Clan, yeah, it's
Yes.
I remember at the time too being like, how is this a WrestleMania match? And then once the adverts, you know what, this has been a problem for a while. I don't know why I came out at the beginning being like, I really just noticed it because this has been an issue for a while. But yeah, I remember last year being like, how is that a Mania match? And then being like, oh, because they need to peddle a game and they need a bad match to do it on. So it's, yeah.
So good. So Gunther doesn't have a special entrance. Seth Rollins does, though. He has put in black eye contacts. He has a jacket with steam coming out of it. I have no earthly idea what the fuck this is supposed to be, but yeah, good for Seth. It's a
We,
look.
it kind of looked like, to me at least, Drake's first appearance after the Kendrick, when he came out with the shirt that had the bullet holes, like trying to say like you can shoot me, but you can't keep me down. And I laughed then, and that's so all I could do seeing Seth was think of that, and it
He
made me
did
chuckle.
what?
Yeah,
Like,
so
like,
after you remember the Drake Kendrick thing from a couple of years ago. So
not really. I'm
okay.
not cool. I am not hip. I understood the big, it ain't the big, it's like what? Fuck the big three, it's just me. I understand that kind
Yes.
of got the ball rolling, but
So yeah, for the cliff notes on it before, so uh yeah, that had happened, and I think it was J. Cole who said that and said, oh, that we're the big three of rap, and Kendrick said, no, fuck you, it's big three, it's me. Drake didn't like that, came back at him, and then Kendrick just bodied him. And Drake lost a lot of cred there, but it was funny because the very first concert back, he comes out with one of those shirts where it's just like smoke, like essentially saying like, you can shoot me, but you can't kill me. It was super corny. It was horrible.
he
But
admits
all I could think
basically
of was that.
no, so basically he admit he got shot, he got fired at. It's not like,
Yeah,
hey, I deflected your bullets. It's very much, oh man, you fucked me
yeah.
up, but
Yeah.
I'm
Oh, I ate
still
it.
here.
Yeah, but I'm still here. I'm still standing. And then yeah, he put out some reggae music out. It was a weird time. I really it was tough being a Drake fan, I will say at that time. He's
He was
Canadian boy, right?
a geek
Especially
baby
oh
face.
God, especially Kendrick tweeting after the World Series. He's an LA guy.
Mhm.
It was a tough time. But to get back to Seth Rollins, that coat that he came out with, that's all I could think of. I don't know if that's what Seth's Midwest ass had in his head. But that's yeah, all I could think of during it. And then the eyes, which it was funny. I remember saying again, like what a topical reference. Michael Cole said about the black eyes, like looking like a Game of Thrones character. It's been off the air 7 years now. Like, what do you
And Seth
looking like a
Rollins
Game of
already did
Thrones
that.
character?
Seth Rollins already did
Yeah,
that
in
what,
what
2018?
2018 when he was a White
Yes.
Walker. Yeah,
God. So, I mean, what? We're going to get a Madman Don Draper outfit from Seth Rollins next year at this
yeah,
rate,
pretty cool.
just to really keep up with the times. But,
Yeah.
all right. So, back to wrestling. As much as we love rap beef, we need wrestle beef. So, the match starts with a brawl to the outside. Eventually, the bell does ring. So, I got to bury fucking Michael Cole and Wade Barrett for a second. Or maybe Triple H. I don't know if these two commentators are getting fed lines or what, but they talk about how it won't be a 5-star match. It's just gonna be a brawl. Ace, you know what match? And obviously, every now and then they like to take shots at Dave Meltzer and his star ratings and the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Do you know what match got a 5-star rating years and years ago?
I'm
Gunther
gonna. Okay, okay, okay.
Sheamus. Gunther and Sheamus. You know what that was not? That was not a technical spectacle. That was just a fucking fight. That was a brawl. So a 5-star match isn't just some fucking 45-minute Iron Man match that Pat McAfee alleges happens. No, wrestling is not just done one way. And I love how the way wrestling is not done the right way. That's a 5-star match. That means we don't have 5-star matches. No, there are many different kinds of wrestling. And Gunther loves to fucking brawl. And Seth Rollins, like, he brawled here. And it was really good. Fuck off with this 5-star match nonsense. Stop with this meta bullshit. Fucking just block out the outside noise. Do your work. And just stop being so insecure. God damn it.
Well, I was
And
gonna say, yeah, they'd have to admit that, to make it canon to say that like that's their way of saying it doesn't matter. So when people hear, oh, there's this great 5-star match over on fucking
oh yeah. It
Wednesdays or
doesn't
in
matter.
Japan, that's
It
their
doesn't
way of
matter.
saying it
No,
doesn't
no, no, no,
matter.
no, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no. It doesn't matter. Shawn Michaels, Mr. WrestleMania. Your 5-star matches don't matter. Shawn Michaels or Kurt Angle, the best wrestler. Bret Hart, the best there is or ever was, the best there will ever be. Your matches don't matter. This is fucking stupid. I hate it when they do this.
But
Just a
again, that's their way of praising somebody like Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle when they look back on the history books. They're it's very off topic, by the way. But when they praise these guys, they're not going to turn around and say Mr. 5-star fucking Dave Meltzer match. They're going to say
it's fucking
Mr.
basically the
WrestleMania,
same.
Mr. SummerSlam.
It's
But
basically the same thing.
It's their branding though,
Basically,
and they'll always go with their branding over outside because they can market it, and it's their fact. Their jargon. It's not surprising at all.
then
It's
just say it's
stupid. Like
not a
it's
Mr.
stupid, but
WrestleMania match. Say that then. Fuck.
they should. But then they couldn't take cheap shots at the competition, right? So
Oh my god. Fuck, I hate these people so much. Anyway, so speaking of which, the 5-star match.
I would
So
have given it 3.25 anyways. So.
this is at least 4. But the story of the match, though, is Seth is being dragged into a Gunther match, and when it's back and forth, Seth is starting to brawl. When he's brawling and he's chopping, he's close, but Gunther's still winning. But when Seth is starting to win, he's doing his own moveset, his own moves. A Seth Rollins match, if you will. So that's pretty cool. Gunther puts Seth Rollins in the sleeper, but Seth gets out. He puts Gunther in the sleeper, but Gunther gets a foot on the rope. Seth then hits Gunther with a pair of dives to the outside, but on the third tope suicida attempt, Gunther powerbombs him into the apron and then the announce table. Seth pedigrees Gunther on the announce table and curb stomps him on it. Thank God this table did not break that last time, otherwise Seth may not have any knees again. And as this dumb referee, I did not get their name, but as this dumb referee is solely focused on checking on Gunther, Braun Breaker returns and spears Seth Rollins on the outside and throws him into the ring. Gunther puts Seth Rollins in a sleeper hold for the win. Seth does not give up like John Cena. He falls on his sword. This is a great match, but this is exactly how I thought it would end. This wasn't a classic. This wasn't an all-time great WrestleMania match. This was not the best match during either night of WrestleMania, but to this point, the only thing you would probably sorta almost maybe want to go out your way to see.
Yeah, I again, I know I said this earlier too. I feel like they could have got there if they had a bit more time, but they just unfortunately were kind of, I think they got about 15, 16. One of the better matches of the night again, like you said. Not much to compare it to. But yeah, definitely handicapped again by the time constraints. As for Breaker being back, I'm sure that's the way they'll go now with Seth. I don't know if this really does much for Gunther in the line. Like, I don't think it, just being the interference win. I'm glad though, on the other hand, that Gunther's doing something outside of just retiring people now, because I think it's a cool moniker to have, but I mean that can only get you so far.
Nope. Are you still here, Ace?
I think you still need to compete for champ. Oh, can you hear it?
Oh, I think we just had a little I think so, just a bit. For the first time in Cup Check Wrestling history, Zoom went into business for itself. So
Oh no.
I can hear you now though.
Yes, I'm not sure how much you got there. Essentially just saying I think it's good that Gunther's not just doing the career killer stuff, because it's a nice thing to have, but it can't be your only calling card. He still needs to compete for titles. He still needs to have rivalries outside of just, I'm going to retire, you old man, because you can only take that so far. But I don't know how much this win really does for him, just given the Braun Breaker interference. That being said, we'll see kind of where it goes. I hope he's not just off TV now for months and months and just shows up before the Saudi show and chokes somebody out. And we'll see where this goes from there.
Yeah, he was sort of used to launch the Seth Rollins Braun Breaker feud. It is what it is, but I'm sure he's gonna eventually, get some big quality matches. I mean, John Cena was at the show. Maybe he could have brought him back out of retirement just to retire him again, and John Cena would give up again. I mean, that was always an option, but yeah, hopefully there's something for our boy Gunther after this, though. We have a little bit of downtime. The Hall of Fame class of 2026 comes out. Nick Hogan is there. That's fucking wild. AJ Styles gets his own entrance and a good pop, but Stephanie McMahon gets to enter last because she's the star, brother. And I bet there were fans chanting, "Thank you, Vince," as well at this show, but it wasn't as audible here because they were at WrestleMania and not the very small Hall of Fame broadcast. So, yeah, the Hall of Fame happened.
I don't know if you thought about this, but I was a little upset we didn't see Frank with Sid's family. I was looking for him. No dice. Yeah,
We should have. When
I
I
know,
thought
right?
I saw the post
Big
about like
Brother 14 and 18 legend.
I saw the post about like a member of Sid's family being disappointed with how the Hall of Fame ceremony went for Sid. I saw the first name. I thought, am I gonna read this whole thing? I saw it wasn't Frank from Big Brother fame. I'm like, that's not an urgent read right now. Big Brother
Yeah.
14 till we die. Alrighty, so Stephanie Vaquer is defending the WWE Women's World Championship against Liv Morgan. Liv does a live rendition of her terrible music video for her terrible fucking song. Uh, Thankfully, Tori's wife Lexi, who was a dancer, was watching the show with us. Tori initially pointed out, "Hey, Lexi needs to see this," and she just looked like, "Okay, the dancers weren't as bad as suggested. Like the dancers are mostly in sync. Liv is just on a totally another planet with from where these dancers are at, and the lip syncing not quite as egregious as Becky Lynch's theme song band, but yeah, yeah, God. And it seems like Liv is just gonna keep this terrible fucking song as her entrance theme, and that gives me a good excuse never to watch Raw again because this thing sucks.
Apparently, she
God knows
really
what.
didn't like the old one. I kind of liked her old theme.
I didn't
Surprised
even
she
think it's
didn't.
that good. This is worse though. Like this, she made it
Yes.
worse. Like she did date Enzo Amore once upon a time. She clearly got the make shitty music vibes from him, I suppose. Like,
You know what? As much as I didn't like the so after last, that was actually my first time hearing it and seeing part of the video. Um, I feel like unfortunately it's gonna be one of those ones that grow on me because I didn't like it and
ah,
I was like, that's stupid. But you know what the original one was for me was Logan Paul's song, where I was just like, this is awful, this is terrible. I'm I'm tapping my foot, I'm humming it a bit, and I'm like, no, what are you doing? Stop it, stop it. And I feel like I'm gonna get there with the was it Trouble with the live one? So
yeah.
I think I'm the one in trouble. But,
You're the supposed to be the musically you're supposed to be the tasteful one when it comes to the arts compared to me.
no,
Like,
no.
don't
It
go down.
I know. Unfortunately, I guess you can compare it to like the fast food or the Wendy's drive-through of music, right? It serves a purpose. I don't know if it's a good one. And it's definitely not good for my diabetes, but it's an option.
I
Something
heard
to eat when you're starving at 2 in the morning.
I work at an all hits radio station. I don't even think this live song would suffice on that. Like this would be like not even at 2 a.m. This is I can't say enough bad things about this. And I don't hate Liv. I'm gonna be very mean to Liv here in a little bit. Like, but
That
God,
has nothing to do with her musical accolades.
no, the musical accolade is just another thing to shit on entirely. This is not
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Stephanie comes out though. She has a beautiful robe and confetti popping as she makes her entrance. This is a very short match. This feels like the end of a match you'd see on Raw. It ends very abruptly, but nevertheless, Steph is working her tail off and is taking most of this match. Liv teases hitting the Devil's Kiss on Steph, but she rolls into a cradle. Steph then hits Oblivion on Liv for a near fall. I'll give credit to Liv for this. That Oblivion may not be the easiest thing to hit because it looked like Stephanie Vaquer, who's a tremendous worker, she was limping to the finish line with this Oblivion, and Liv at this point, she does make that move look good. So that's my nice thing to say about Liv tonight. This was a very good move to have. God, there's so many sirens outside my apartment tonight. They think
I
I'm
couldn't
getting
tell if that was me or you.
And we're finally getting to window open weather here in Kamloops. Just because it's so hot here. I think it got to 26 here today, so
I
I
busted out the portable AC for the first time. We only hit 20, or sorry, we only hit 18. I think it was 17,
Woo,
but it was
still
time.
just right. Still just right though. Anyways, back on track here. So let's see. Where are my notes? I'm pulling Dave Meltzer. Where are my notes? So after Steph hits the Oblivion on Liv for a near fall, the Judgment Day gals of Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez come out for the distraction. I think Raquel gets her signals or her cues mixed up at some point to shove Stephanie off the top rope because Stephanie Vaquer is just on the top rope what it feels like forever, and then she steps down, then she steps back up again, but you can still see Raquel in the background, so I don't know what happened there. Steph takes out, well, Liv hits Oblivion for a good near fall. Steph then takes out Roxanne and Raquel. Liv is going for Oblivion, but Stephanie dodges, and then Liv, while going for Oblivion, just ends up paying a dive to Raquel on the outside. Steph then dives onto both Raquel and Roxanne. The match ends with Liv shoving Stephanie into the stairs on the outside, throws her into the ring, and hits Oblivion and wins. This feud sucked. This match sucked. This win for Liv does not feel organic. It feels like you deserve it, Reign. It feels like, oh, Liv gets to win the belt because it's just her turn. It's your turn to be the champion now. And all in all, they just kind of, I felt, clipped the wings off one of their rising stars and Stephanie Vicaire during all this. I thought this is a very counterproductive program for the last couple of months, and this did not end particularly well.
I don't know. I definitely see where you're coming from with Stephanie Vicaire. And I did, to be for the record, I did want her to retain. I think, I think they just look at Liv as kind of the biggest women's star on Raw, or one of the biggest women's stars on Raw. So I think it's almost, it feels safe for them. They'll give us some more Judgment Day lore because we haven't had enough of that in the last 2-3 years. Um, they'll tease Raquel. There'll be a lot of stuff they do. I think, I guess there is to some benefit to having your kind of main faction, main biggest, women who's in all these storylines being the champ. I guess there's some merit to that. But I still think that she could have done this on her own without the championship. And I think it would have benefited Vicaire to have the title more than it would Liv. But that being said, obviously they felt like it was going to be better on Liv. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm definitely apprehensive about this move. I feel like is the wrongness, especially not to get into it later, but especially since the other women's title changed. I don't think you needed both of them here, but Liv is your new women's world champion, so we'll see where that goes.
Speaking of women's world champions, former one returns. Bianca Belair comes out. We haven't seen her in about a year, recovering from finger surgery and multiple operations and a very lengthy recovery for a very delicate injury. She comes out and she's covered in blue, and my pal Tori, who has 2 young kids of his own, he immediately spotted, I think she's pregnant. Something about like either the look or just having the blue specifically very puffy to cover the midsection at the very least, and he was right.
They call that the bump.
The bump.
Yeah.
Getting let's see, Liv is, and then Bianca's getting the bump. I'm trying to think of like trying to give someone the rub, like elevate someone. I'm failing at the spun here. Anyways, Bianca Belair is pregnant. So I just want her to come back for ages, but now take your time because now she gets to be a mother rather than recover from a very tedious injury. So congrats to Bianca Belair. Congrats to Montez Ford. I look forward to seeing which Division I NCAA school your child commits to, which sport they'll play, because that is maybe going to be the most athletic baby on God's green earth. Holy smokes.
Yeah, it was funny. I was saying too, I don't think Cena had an idea. Just I don't know, maybe he did, but his reaction looked so genuine. We were just like, "Oh no way!" So I hope he didn't, because that was a really cool moment. I've already, I've already started seeing the memes circulating of the bump with Capital One over the stomach and dude wipes. But yeah, good. I'm happy for Bianca and Montez. Yeah, it's nice to see timing. It's crazy because now you think about it, like I think her last match was the Elimination Chamber in Toronto, if I'm not mistaken. So
Oh, she had the
last
3-way.
February.
Anyways, she had the 3-way at Mania last year, but it's been a year,
Oh, the
so
3-way. That was it. Okay, yeah.
yes.
But it's funny to think now because she'll obviously the tenure of the pregnancy, she'll be on maternity leave for a while. Like we could not see her wrestle from what's that 25 maybe until like 27, 28. So, hopefully absence will make the heart grow fonder there, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds for her.
Tony Storm needs to make room on Mount Everest for her. I mean, it's and
That's
Naomi
true.
too.
That's true.
They're all going to be on Mount Everest while they're pregnant. Alrighty, so main event time. we finally have an honest to God video package, and I here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't want a complete recap video package all the time because I like to think our wrestling promotions have faith in us, the viewers, to be able to remember stuff week by week. But I love a good music video package. I love a good vignette. I just love it. And a lot of times, WWE's post-production team does a great job at making a lot of nonsense appear very good. Like you're still excited after experiencing 2 months of bullshit. After this 3-minute music video, you're ready to get going. So we get a really good video package with Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton here. Funny enough, with very minimal mention of Pat McAfee and Jelly Roll. I think those are a sign of things to come. This takes fucking forever. So Pat McAfee gets an entrance. He is loudly booed, but he gets his whole entrance for 3 minutes. This thing takes for fucking ever. And Randy Orton's entrance is just every Randy Orton entrance you've ever seen. It just takes forever. The fans are singing along. If you're supposed to have Pat McAfee out there to get heat on Randy Orton, why don't you just have Pat McAfee just join Randy Orton? Maybe that'll discourage fans to sing the song. And then Cody Rhodes has an entrance, and granted, it's a little more special. He's displaying his old gear from his debut match with Randy Orton to his broken, dashing character, whatever that was, to Stardust. Those are some skeletons in the closet. And to now. So his entrance also goes on forever. I think there's 10 plus minutes for just all these entrances together. The songs played the entire way through. So Pat McAfee ambushes Cody Rhodes to start the match. Orton grabs Cody's arm, and, Orton grabs both of Cody's arms, and Pat's going for a free shot, but Cody kicks him, and Pat takes a very cartoonish, like he does like a full backflip, basically. He rolls backwards entirely after this kick. It was very silly. Cody then hits him with a crossroads. Cody puts Pat on the table, and who should show up but Jelly Roll to splash him through the announce table. Pat is taken to the back, and he gives a thumbs up and then a middle finger to the crowd as he's carted away. The two most important figures in this main event scene, Pat McAfee and Jelly Roll, are now removed from the match, and now we just have some graps when we are told the graps probably aren't the most important part of this feud.
Yeah, as much as I don't like the guy. The thumbs up to the middle finger I did get a pop. That was pretty funny. I got to call balls and strikes. I did chuckle at that. But I don't know. I kind of felt, I mean, they have to be meta about it at some point and kind of, I think they knew that universally this was not. Yeah, that's why the baby faces kept coming out and being like, this is shit, dude. Like, this is terrible. I think that was kind of their, I know we get the bollocks at the end, but I think them kind of doing that first right off the hop was their way of saying, like, okay, let's just fucking, you won't see Jelly Roll again. Pat's gone now, obviously, until the end. But I think that was their way of saying, okay, let's just make it about the match. You don't have Pat running around outside. And, not that the match was really anything special, but I think it did help that it wasn't, him fucking sliding knucks or whatever he would have done.
Late.
I was happy to see him go.
Too little too late. I mean,
Yeah.
It's the day of the show. It's bell time.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, about the match, technically the first half of this match was well executed. It was just terribly boring. Randy Orton is doing rest holds. Here's the thing about Randy Orton. He's beloved as this all-time great now because he's been around for decades and decades. He's had a lot of shitters, particularly on WrestleMania. I mean, he's a guy that technically does everything very well, but outside of Mick Foley in 2004, what are like 5 other Randy Orton matches you're like, that was a classic? They're very few and far in between at the end of the day, in my
Your
opinion.
WrestleMania specifically?
Not just in general. He's had a lot of shitters at Mania, but just in general, like, name like 5 Randy Orton matches. You can't count Mick Foley at Backlash 04. What are like 5 Randy Orton matches? They're like, that was a classic. That was vintage or Randy Orton.
This actually, let's do this for a sec. Okay, let me think about this for a second. Just because I would rather talk about this than I would probably the match. Again, you could probably credit more Undertaker, but I think the first Mania one I really liked.
I'll give you that.
But again, you're working with an all-time great, so it's.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of like specifically like a Randy Orton match. What was not their first Hell in a Cell, but the second Hell in a Cell with Cena, where they're fighting to like face Brock. I think it was like 2014. It was the year that they also had the Seth and Dean Hell in a Cell. That wasn't
Oh, okay.
terrible.
I mean, is that
Not
the
again
bar though?
all time.
Is not terrible the bar here though?
Apparently, yeah. But yeah, there's not a whole lot where I think you go like, oh yeah, all time classic banger. But a very consistent, like what's the term I always like to use, like a 5-star, 3-star wrestler. Like
Yes.
you always, it's like prime Triple H, right? Like those 03, you're gonna get a lot of stinkers in there, but they're passable. Like
Yeah, it's like
they're good.
what? Because Randy Orton doesn't do anything wrong. He's technically very
Yeah,
sound. Everything he does looks good. He's always in the right place. It's just this guy works like he's Kevin Nash in late WCW, but without the bad knees. He's just I don't know. And I figure like this whole heel turn, like I think Randy Orton works better a little bit as a babyface. Like a couple other matches I'm thinking, like he had a tremendous match. It was Over the Limit 2011. He had this fantastic World Heavyweight Championship match with Christian, but I almost want to
Christian ones
give
were
more
good.
credit to Christian than Orton
Yeah,
at that
yeah,
point. Uh, I think of Gunther at what was that one? What Clash in Paris?
Oberlin.
Berlin,
Yeah,
yeah, that was pretty good. But brother, I think Gunther could have a great match with both of us. Like that's
yeah.
how high regard I have for him. But I don't know, Orton's just for a guy who's now being viewed as this all-time great. Like, oh, he's going for number 15. Can he break Cena? Can he break Ric Flair's fake record? I mean, this is just like another laundry list on WrestleMania, especially a long list of Randy Orton stinkers. It's a fascinating career. I don't know if we'll ever see anything like this ever again.
AJ at what was it 35? That was okay.
Yeah, that was
That's okay.
fine. Again, is okay the bar here though?
Honestly, I'm gonna have to say yes. 'Cause, yeah, there's not a whole lot, and a lot of underwhelming ones too. Like I mean, some of the ones we want to compare his Mania record. You think like him and Triple H at 25 was a
Mhm.
bit of a disaster there. Him and Bray, again, kind of lay up following a pretty cool feud. Bit of a stinker. Yeah, there's not a whole lot that jump out immediately. Okay, even like the triple threat with Orton,
Yeah.
or sorry, with Cena and H, it was fine. But again, you're working with Cena and Triple H. Like it's kind of the three of those guys in there. It's kind of hard not to
Yeah.
have a
And
decent match.
that was just decent too, but I think it's something great like Daniel Bryan and Batista at WrestleMania 30. I mean, that was Daniel Bryan. That was
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan just being the greatest babyface on earth. But it's an interesting case study. This
Yeah,
fucking
Orton's. I think it's more so the longevity. You're right, because it's
Mhm.
not just. There's a lot of guys that have been there for a while. Like Miz now is 06, Kofi's like 08,
Oh my God.
Sheamus is 08, Drew's
I'll give
09,
Orton
but Orton's
I'll give
like
Orton I'll give Orton this. He's way better than the Miz. I will always give him
okay,
that.
okay. But
I
the
almost
point
want to
being that like for a lot of guys that have been there forever, he has been one of those that no matter what, he's always in that upper echelons. Maybe it's the world title victories, but
it's
it's
exactly
yeah,
that.
he kind of gets that. He kind of gets that break, I think.
That's another one too. You know what? I hate to say it. I really, really, really hate to say it. I think there may have been more great Miz matches than great Randy Orton matches, though. I
Ooh, yeah, I'd have
I
to do some
almost
research.
because here's like
I'm thinking
Orton's
of the
better than the
Ziggler
Miz.
ones, and
Like Ziggler, Seth Rollins, and granted, Miz is very much the dance partner who's following the lead. But you know what? Sometimes you just gotta know your role, and he was absolutely fine for what he had to do. I'm just trying to think, yeah. Like, I don't think Miz has ever had a match as great as like Randy Orton and Mick Foley, but on the aggregate, maybe Miz has had more great matches over his career than Orton. I'm really, really trying to
I don't
think about
know. I don't know actually, because like Miz has had a few good ones, but again, I think like the Ziggler one, there's not really a whole lot, at least that are jumping out in my head right off
it.
off
He's
the
had
dome. That
the pair of matches with Ziggler. He had like that great match with Seth Rollins. I think it was like after WrestleMania, something like
oh
that.
yeah, yeah, that's right. I forgot about
Yeah.
yeah, Backlash was that? That's right. I forgot about
Yeah, I
that one.
think
That
it
was a good
was.
match.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. This is good.
That was that one where, yeah, I'm very happy to segue because the
Yeah.
match was
But the
good.
fact that
But
we
yeah,
have
that
to
was the
fucking talk about this, like, is Orton barely having more
yeah.
great matches than The Miz, isn't that kind of the fucking point of, like, this shouldn't be a conversation?
No, it's interesting because I think it's one of those almost you look at like kind of how I know it was only 10 years at that point, but how Taker was looked at in the early 2000s where the longevity, he had always been there, and you could almost argue that now with Orton. I know obviously it's not Vince anymore, but Taker always kind of got that. I was the only one that didn't leave for WCW. Well, you could almost look at Orton now as like I'm the only one who didn't leave for Hollywood, right? Like so many of those guys,
But you
at
need to
some
be good
point,
enough to get.
he always
You
stayed.
need to be good enough to get to Hollywood, though, isn't
Oh, of
that like
course.
I
No,
want to
no,
give him
but
that
the
much
point
credit.
being, I think no, but the point I'm trying to say is I think that he almost gets that. Well, he's been such a big star forever, but he didn't leave us to go chase a check somewhere else. Not that I think he maybe would have been the
Like he was gonna
best
go to
after
TNA,
that.
just like that was like something he was really gonna. If he's gone to TNA, something's would have gone
Yeah.
horribly. And just to say, Undertaker, you know what? Similar thing. Undertaker was fucking cheeks for a lot of years, and then I, ironically enough, by the time that we're watching at the same time, like he's challenging Batista for the belt. It's like, brother, I'm gonna get in the best shape of my life, and they just started having banners with Batista and Edge and all these guys and Shawn Michaels.
Angle.
He had one last great run where he decided, like, you know what, I'm actually gonna be really fucking good. So at
Yeah.
least he did that. Orton never really, but again, he doesn't have to. These fans love him
Yeah.
for doing fucking the bare minimum. So why don't you extend your career? But
Yeah, I don't know
artistically,
if he'll get that end. It's interesting to think of how he'll go down. But I think that's where he'll, just because one, the stat padding of the mid 2000s, where pretty much all those guys had 10 world titles, whether that be Cena, Edge, Orton. So I think he's got those kind of credentials in a lot of fans' eyes where they're like, oh, this dude's a big deal. Um, but yeah, he's got that upper echelons where I think no matter what, they'll always look at him in that main event light. And, yes, he's, worked the US title in recent years and he had this RK Bro thing. But yeah, I don't know. I think they kind of give him that pass. And again, I don't know if it's because he stayed so long but he's
mhm.
definitely one of those guys now where like he's a lifer. He'll be there probably until he can't, right? So it's
And the Miz made the Intercontinental Championship relevant again.
he
Similar.
did. He did.
Okay, back on
God, even
track.
Miz being there.
We're gonna no 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 no
Yeah,
no.
let's
We're
get
gonna be
back to
here
it.
for
Yeah,
fucking no
let's get
no.
back
We're
to
done here. We're going fucking
it.
to be here for fucking ever. God, I was a guilty party, but we're not going too much longer on the fucking Miz. I refuse. We have to talk about him later anyway, but we're not doing that. All right, so how serious were Cody and Randy? We're not taking this main event seriously, but you know what? Cody and Randy, how seriously were they taking it? Cody fucking hits Randy Orton with a backdrop, and you know what they do? They replicate the time where Mr. Kennedy backdropped Randy Orton a little bit too high, and Orton does the fake swing of the punch, and he storms out. They recreated that spot. It was a fucking joke spot in the main event of WrestleMania. They probably just tried to pop themselves. I don't know. So, commentary mentions that Randy Orton was rumored to be hurting heading into WrestleMania, but Orton is selling his previously injured back. He looks like a babyface in peril. Uh, the match doesn't really get going until Orton bleeds after being hit by a post. So there is juice. Orton does blade. It is time to bleed. But I was just stunned it was from the post. I mean, how many times, like, it feels like getting shoved into the post is as common as a headlock or working the arm. How the hell did you bleed from that? I mean, Jacob Fatu survived a wrench, and Randy Orton bleeds by just being hit by the post. That was a little weird to me, but cool to see the blood. So basically, from this point on, Cody's working fully as a heel. I mean, he's stomping on Orton's limbs, he's punching his open wound, he's hitting his elevated DDT, he's doing Randy's setup, like his fist pounding on the mat to mock him. These fans are booing Cody now, and it gives you the hint. Are these guys actually going to do a double turn after all this time? Are they actually turning Cody heel? Oh God, oh God, oh God. So Cody then starts, pardon me, where was that here? So somehow Orton hits the crossroads on Cody for a near fall for a huge pop. And then Orton goes for the RKO. Cody counters into a backslide and hits an RKO of his own. Once these guys traded finishers, the crowd really started to get into it. So Cody backdrops Orton on the announce table like Orton has done many times to many others. Orton hits an RKO, but Cody kicks out. So at this point, Cody and Orton are trading punches, and I guess at some point, Randy gets Cody good right in the eye before Cody eye pokes him, and following that, while Orton's blind, he gives an RKO to the referee Charles Robinson, because I was wondering, how the hell is Cody bleeding? And then you see the photos afterwards, and he was just gushing at the end. His eye just got swollen shut. Apparently he's got an orbital injury, like he had his WWE World appearances canceled today. He has an orbital injury for realsies, but he made it through this match. I hope he isn't away for a long time. So the referee is down. Cody hits Randy with a low blow after Orton tried the low blow at first. Cody goes for a Cody cutter. Randy hits the RKO out of nowhere in midair, but the ref is down. But never fear, who comes out in a referee shirt along with a neck brace but Pat McAfee to make the count. So here's the thing. The heel ref, I mean, really, there's no reason for Pat McAfee to be a referee. He doesn't have any fucking authority that we're aware of, despite what Wade Barrett tries to gaslight us with. He not only comes down, the heel ref doesn't come out to make a count. It's not just a fair and square 1, 2, 3. It's a slightly slow count. Stupid! This shit sucked! I hate the heel ref. I hate it when they're doing it fair and square. What's the fucking point?
You wanted him to fast count and Orton win the title?
Yeah, might as fucking well. Like, if you want Randy Orton to save the business, you might as well fucking cheat for this guy if you're a ref all of a sudden.
Maybe he wanted to soak it in. Maybe he's just like, this is the moment. 1, hell yeah, here comes another 2. No, it was very dumb.
Call for the bell. You timekeeper say, do the fucking Las Vegas screw job right there. Then that was a 3 count. Timekeeper in it. I'm the referee, apparently.
Yeah. It almost felt Starcade in that that sense. Or,
yeah. And it gets more WCW 2000 from here on out. Don't you worry about that, Ace. Yeah, this is fucking stupid. So Pat is standing behind Orton, and I swear for a split second, in my mind, it's looking like Pat could be aligning with Cody to pull the trigger on the double turn, which would have been remarkably stupid. Don't get me wrong. This would have been stupid. You'd have to pretend that Pat McAfee pretended to hit Cody with a microphone to begin. You had to pretend that, oh, I'm going to hit the crossroads on you, Pat. You're going to get hurt, but you need to get hurt for realsy. So that would have been stupid. But I'm like, that could be kind of low-key fire. This crowd would just be molten hot. But instead, Randy Orton hits the RKO on Pat McAfee, the guy he's been listening to for months. And during that moment, Cody Rhodes then hits the crossroads on Orton for the win. I swear to God, I've seen Cody's opponent get distracted and lose many, many times. Ace, I really had to think about this. I know everyone has different definitions of what the worst WrestleMania main event is. You can have the worst worked match, the most boring one, various things. This is stupid, or the wrong person won. I don't know if this is the worst main event in the history of WrestleMania. By leaps and bounds, this is the most nonsensical, because let's quickly go over. The celebrities are the main focus of the match. They get taken out early. Cody's working as a heel. I've never seen peak babyface John Cena work as a heel during his prime. And then while he's working as heel, Orton is working as a face. Pat McAfee does the dumb heel ref gimmick. It's never been established he has any authority. And not only is he a heel ref, he's a fair ref because I get to be a referee all of a sudden. But I'm still gonna be fair. You can't make me not.
He has his morals. Yeah,
he has his morals. That's the line he won't cross. And Orton turns on the guy he was listening to because, like, motherfucker, why didn't you do a quick count? And then Cody wins. He acts like a babyface after working as a heel. Then Randy Orton, who's the babyface in peril, is a heel again after the match. He hits Cody with the belt. He punts him in the head. I can't remember the last time this has been done. And then afterwards, Cody Rhodes, it's on the post show. Granted, the show's over, but Cody just walked behind Jackie Redmond on the WrestleMania stage after getting punted in the head like it was fucking nothing. This was the stupidest main event in the history of WrestleMania, and I don't think that's hyperbole coming from me.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack there. Originally I didn't get why Orton RKO'd him out of nowhere. No pun intended. To me it just felt like, what? Like, I can see where you're coming from there, where it's like, hey, why are you doing a fair count? We're supposed to be boys. But the second he RKO'd him, I was like, what is he mad that he, like, what? So I was confused there. The ending was the ending, and it was fucking. So anyway, one of my favorite posts that I saw was, after Orton hits him with the belt and punts him, and I was like, wow, that was great. Like, it felt like the go home SmackDown to WrestleMania. Like, oh, Orton's holding the title, this Sunday when he finally, it's like, oh wait, no, he just had the match. That, like, so
Yeah.
that was dumb.
This feud must continue.
Yeah. I don't know so much about, like, oh, Cody should have been like stretchered out, or because I mean, like, his fucking eye exploded. I mean, if nothing else, you could argue that it was he targeted his eye. It's fucking, oh, those photos
He
look
got
just
punted though. He got
disgusting.
concussed allegedly. Like, you haven't used this punt in years. Save it for here. And Cody's just, I'm okay, brother. My eye hurts, but I'm fine.
I don't know about okay, but yeah.
That's why I said my eyes hurts though, but I'm okay.
Yeah, that's what you
Walk
gotta
it off.
caveat it. No, but the overall, just what a mess. Because unfortunately, this is gonna continue now because Orton's now attacked him. So, actually no, now the one good thing to come out of this is no Pat McAfee, which
Apparently.
when I first heard the stipulation, I was mad because I was like, well, that fucking spoils the main event. Orton's gonna win. I saw his wife posted, and who knows? I mean, it is what it is. I saw his wife post, this is the first time that he's not been involved in wrestling since 2017. I don't know if I believe it. I really, like, I'd love to, I know Pat has his morals, but I don't know if he'll keep his word on this one. Because
No,
I just, yeah.
WWE doesn't break stipulations. Not once. Not ever. Never happened. Not once.
So we'll see. He said that he'll never be there again. And oh my God, I hope that's true. Because I don't need to see Pat McAfee again. I really don't.
No. Just go interview Aaron Rodgers some more. I just don't need to see you in my form of entertainment. And here's the
Or
thing.
don't. Or just leave,
Just retire. But
Yeah, just take it easy.
it's a shame with Pat because he's actually a trained wrestler. He trained with an old school guy in Indianapolis, Rip Rogers. He's a trained pro wrestler, but he just had to be the most insufferable version of himself. The only time he ever showed any emotion, that it wasn't just pull a string on this guy and he just delivers lines. The only time he showed emotion was when he cried at Canada booing the US national anthem at the Elimination Chamber last year. He could not translate that to anywhere else in his presentation. I don't need to see him again. Just go
Which
on
was
College
bullshit,
Game Day.
but that's another story.
It is bullshit. I mean, he's just a big man baby there, but I digress. Like, take your man baby energy there and try and harness it for other ways to try and entertain.
No, I'm going to mention this because we didn't have a show last year. That really bothered me because his whole defense with it was, well, I didn't know what was going on. They were booing the anthem. What do you mean you don't know what's going on? You cover fucking. Oh man, you know what's going on. You obviously fucking know what's going on. You are a newscaster, or for lack of a better term, a journalist, where you are in the public eye.
This is a few weeks after the Four Nations face-off, by the way. Like,
yeah, that's the other part of it too, where they were clearly, But even if you want to look at it in a vacuum, maybe he, didn't hear about it. Maybe he doesn't cover hockey. Well, I know he doesn't cover hockey that much. Maybe he didn't hear anything about the Four Nations. And he just doesn't know about hockey. There's no way that fucking he had no idea what was going on with Trump at that point in time. But he just wanted to come out and boo or get pissed off about the booing. And maybe he was, whatever. He knew what it was though, and to play the dumb card, like fucking own it. Just say, I don't care. I know why they're doing it. I don't give a I'd have way more respect for him if he just did that. If he just said, well, sucks to suck. Don't boo my fucking anthem. Sure. Okay. Agree to disagree. Maybe. But the fact that he had to come out and say, like, oh well, I didn't know that. I just thought they were being dicks. And it's like, you're so fucking dense. And yeah, I'm hoping that he doesn't come back after this because
I never.
yeah,
No.
and it was tough too because I did enjoy, especially like, I think in a lot of ways he really did help kind of rejuvenate Cole and sort of give him the love of the game back. God, because he was a lost cause for a while there after all those years of Vince.
Very quickly, we did cover a lot of this on like when we went over the Wrestling Observer Awards. I forget which episode it was. It might have been labeled the bonus episode. We talk about our gripes with Pat. I will say, even though I hate shit on this guy just a few matches prior, gotta give credit to Michael Cole here. He acted like his best friend Pat McAfee genuinely broke his heart because Pat McAfee's been on SmackDown. Michael Cole is not on SmackDown. This is the first time we've really heard Michael Cole sound aghast and heartbroken. It wasn't just, oh, could it be? It wasn't just classic Michael Cole like we'd hear in 2019. That was his friend Pat McAfee being a hypocrite, and Michael Cole had takes on it. So you know what? Yeah, if there's anything in this match, thank you for Michael Cole for adding that. I gotta call balls and strikes there, but all right. Yeah, overall, night one, thumbs down. Maybe if you really, really want and have the time, go see Gunther and Seth. But yeah, thumbs down on the show. Emphatic thumbs down.
Yeah, outside of Gunther and Seth, Paige's return, and maybe you could argue the unsanctioned with Drew, but the big ones for me, honestly, Paige coming back was probably my highlight of the night. It was just the one part of the night where I genuinely felt like that's really cool.
You can
Everything else kind of bugged me a little bit.
You can find that one clip on Instagram though. That's all you really need to see. You don't like if it's a great match, like say with Gunther and Seth, you should watch the match because you can't watch that in just a brief Instagram video. Paige, you absolutely can. So, with all due respect,
that is a good caveat. That is a good caveat.
Mm-hmm. All right, tonight too, which gracefully was better. We don't have to end the pod on the note that we just ended on. Thank goodness. This is
couldn't have been much worse.
It could not. It always can be worse, and it always
could be. I was gonna say I don't want to jinx anything.
All right, so Cena is back. Thank God he's got a new suit. He has a less ridiculous pompadour too. There's only Pyro to start. All right, so it's Oba Femi versus Brock Lesnar to open the show. Oba is ridiculously over. Not only are people chanting Oba, they're doing his walk. And you know what? I don't know how many original walks there are left in the world of pro wrestling. Oba pulls his off, though. He just looks like $1 million, but I don't think anyone else can pull this off. So Brock Lesnar looks out into the crowd to soak it all in. I just thought, this is the last WrestleMania. It's the classic. You're breathing, your eyes are wide, you're just looking into the crowd, you're soaking it all in one last time. I thought this was his last WrestleMania, and it appears to have been his last WrestleMania. So after a pair of collar and elbow tie-ups, Brock picks up Oba and shoulders him into the corner, but Oba just shoves him away. Oba is then no-selling 2 lariats from Brock Lesnar, and then knocks Brock down with one of his own. Great! Brock throws Oba into the post into the steel steps because clearly he's losing the test of strength, so he's got to do some dastardly tactics. Brock then takes Oba on a brief trip to Suplex City. Oba hits some corner uppercuts, but Brock picks him up on the last attempt, hits him with an F5. Although Oba gets up from the F5, chokeslams him, hit the fall from grace powerbomb for the win. Now here's the thing. Personally, I thought this was kind of lame in the sense that my expectations are different. I was hoping that this is going to be a sprint of big meaty men slapping meat. What I got was still a short match, but probably the most basic WWE match I've ever seen Brock Lesnar have. This was not a Brock Lesnar match. Uh, but that being said, I expressed my fears last week about Brock winning and giving Oba some adversity, but I know wrestling's very subjective, but objectively, the best call, the only real call. Oba is put over and he beats Brock Lesnar clean in the middle of the ring in just a few minutes. I thought this was a home run.
Yeah, no, I did. You're right. I didn't know, because I'd heard a few people mentioning that they thought, oh well, they've been kind of, putting him over a lot these past few weeks, and but I thought the way they executed it was perfect. Again, a little short, but you knew with Lesnar you were never going to really get that super long match, anyways. And I mean,
Mm,
God, he's getting up there now too. Um, I I don't want to give him credit. But I will say at least, he kind of did the honors and really made a new guy, as, they really made sure to harper home like, hey, Brock Lesnar was once the next big thing. Well,
mm,
now Obafemi is like, so, as whatever. Yeah. He did what you really should do on the way out. He, made a new guy. Opa's now, hopefully a made man in the WWE. Wherever he goes next, we'll see.
mm.
But yeah, I guess I got to give him credit for that, because there's been a
Well,
lot of matches where he hasn't done that. So
no.
over the years.
Well, if you don't want to have to hand it to him, I'll give you something that you can hang over his head. So Brock is left in the ring. He takes off his gloves and his boots. Thankfully, he leaves his pants on. He's tearing up. I think he's retiring. There are thank you, Brock chants, and fuck off. Just fuck off. That's editorial comments for me. Just take a video of you peeing and send it to Brock Lesnar. Fuck off with that. So Brock hugs Paul Heyman, and I know I got angry there a little bit, but you know what? Before the details and allegations came up in the Janelle Grant lawsuit, Brock Lesnar was my ride or die, one of my all-time favorites. Like I mentioned, he was like the guy I could hang my hat on when he was becoming the UFC World Heavyweight Champion as a way to defend pro wrestling. I loved him in his return. Unfortunately, you have to carry yourself ethically outside the business, and wrestling's kind of a dirty business at its core, I suppose. But to be truly celebrated, I think you need to try and be as ethical as possible outside in your daily business. Not everyone's going to bat 100, but yeah, it's a shame. I wish I could have enjoyed this. I really wish I could, but that's just me. I can't. Good for the WrestleMania folks who were able to do this. Hopefully, if he just has a match at SummerSlam in Minneapolis, in his home state of Minnesota, I'll hate this even more because then he's just kind of taking the moment away from Obafemi. It becomes a Brock moment more than an Oba moment. But if this is his career, uh, yeah, I wish I could have enjoyed it. And if this Janelle Grant lawsuit, if it goes to trial, her lawsuit against WWE and Vince McMahon, and more details come out, there is a legit chance that maybe these thank you Brock chants and cheers age as poorly as when Stephanie led the thank you Vince chants on SmackDown years and years ago. And that's just the risk that they played by bringing this guy back to begin with, though. So I don't know. Kind of a very complicated post match for me at the very least.
I also didn't feel earned. I don't know. Like, just for even like outside of kind of everything legally, just he's not, I think, the kind of guy that really gets that. No, I shouldn't say gets that, but like, like the crying in the ring, the removal of the, the thank you with the hugs, and then of course with everything going on, he absolutely hasn't earned that. Like, it was a very tumultuous decision to bring him back in the first place. Um, yeah, I don't know. Even all this is, again, if you want to look at it in a vacuum outside of Janelle Grant, um, it's an interesting career, where it's kind of hard to say where it would stack up. If, like, just, if you want to separate the art from the artist, like to look at just the resume of him in WWE, it's a strange one because obviously we have a really hot start. He, his star burns too bright too quickly. He leaves, and we don't see him for almost 8 years. He comes back and he's this destroyer, but he also, sort of brings in with him now the problem we're still facing to this day of the part-timer, because it was really guys like him and H and Rock and Taker, and where now we get to a point where you can't see somebody every week, because if you see someone every week, well, they're just not that important, and that was
Mhm.
never how it was
That's
before.
fair.
Like
Mhm.
it's crazy. I don't know. Again, this is gonna get off topic, but I don't care. uh it was never a problem, like a guy like Austin Raw. You look at the Attitude Era, the one that everyone always, the one that Pat McAfee can't stop fucking yapping about. Those guys were fucking at every house show, at every Raw, at every SmackDown. Do I like that the guys aren't being worked to death anymore and not addicted to painkillers because of it? Yes. But there has to be a happy medium, because when that change happened with guys like Lesnar and H and Taker started slowing down and Rock came back, and it it created this problem where you if you get too big, you have to not be there all the time. And now we see that with guys like Cody, and we see that with guys like Punk and Roman, of course. Um, so I don't know where Lesnar's legacy in just straight up wrestling. Obviously he's one of the biggest names. He was kind of the example for years of why Vince didn't like creating huge stars, because they would just leave them. Um, but yeah, when you look at it with, and depending on however it goes in the, coming months and years with the Janelle Grant stuff, I don't know if it's going to stack up there all time with some of the greats that we talk about.
He is an
It'll be
all-timer though. Like
interesting.
he in ring work and just his legacy on pro wrestling. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like if you actually have an honest to God real Hall of Fame that writers can vote on, the closest we have is the Wrestling Observer. But like sometimes it's like, yeah, it's mentioned that there are current wrestlers and historians and reporters that vote on it, but it's not like there's like a Baseball Writers Association of America or anything
Yeah.
that gets to vote on a pro wrestling Hall of Fame. Brock, I mean, yeah, he became a huge star instantly, and then he became a shoot world heavyweight champion for real and became an even bigger star once he returned. And I think in the in-ring work, I mean, he was never really good promo, but that's why you have the mouthpiece. That's why you have a Paul Heyman. But yeah, just in terms of like how dire a down period WWE is in for a lot of the 2010s, he was the one that was still a game changer, and he brought a level of realism. And honestly, like even like some of the little things, like trying to put a guy like Drew McIntyre or Obafemi over, just Brock is laid out, he's telling him, put your chest, flow my chest, flow my chest. Or Drew in 2020 lays him out with a belt. Pick up the belt, pick up the belt. That's like the little thing. So he does care as much as he loves getting paid lots and lots of money more.
Who
He does
doesn't?
care about his work at the very least and putting himself in the best position possible. But anyone he's bringing along with the ride wants to make sure they're taken care of for the most part too, unless you're
No,
Ricochet. But I digress. But I don't know. It's an
that's
interesting
another
one. But
story.
the impact of the part timer is one that I haven't really thought of too much. So I think it's a good point, Ace. I have a lot of thinking
Yeah.
when I go to bed tonight.
There you go.
Moving on.
I'm glad I'll be the one you think of in your dreams tonight.
And every night, quite frankly. But
Of
we
course.
don't talk about that publicly. So moving on, we got a six-man ladder match for the men's Intercontinental Championship. JD McDonough, Rusev, and Dragon Lee get no televised entrances.
Yeah, that was
Six potential winners of this match. It just got cut down to three right there and then. I died.
And you know what's funny too? Even in the match, they go out of their way, I felt like at least, to tell you that those guys never had a shot at winning to begin with. Because I was thinking about it, and every close call I felt was between Javon and Penta. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was, at least we got to see Hulk Hogan again. So that's
Boy.
that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
I think I got.
Oh,
Did I get Snot Rocket for realsies? Well, oh
oh
man,
God.
I'll need a tissue. I'll
You're
need a tissue at some point. I think
you're
you
a
actually got an
mess.
honest to God Snot Rocket at me, Ace. That's gross.
Viral.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna break down this match and then I need to get a tissue. So Ray comes out, he has Deadpool inspired gear, and as you alluded to, Penta comes out with Shao Kahn gear, sponsored by Mortal Kombat. Go see that movie, or is it a movie Mortal Kombat coming out? It's Street Fighter is the movie, right? What's Mortal Kombat having out? That's
They might, but Mortal Kombat's a game, but it might be a movie because they do that a lot with games
yeah.
now. And
There's something here that Mortal Kombat's sponsoring, so that's why Penta had this kind
clearly,
of
the ad didn't get through to you because
no.
it didn't work
Anyways,
on you. So.
if it was on a table, maybe if the Mortal Kombat was on the ladders, maybe you'd hit it home, but we'll see. So Javon Evans hits JD with a springboard lariat off the ladder. Javon's got hops. He got a ton of height from this. Dragon Lee hits a drop kick from the top rope onto Rey Mysterio, who's in the Tree of Woe in the ladder. That was pretty cool. Penta launches Rey. This is my favorite spot, maybe the entire night, actually. Penta launches Rey Mysterio into the air. Rey then, during that process, hits a seated senton on Rusev through the ladder. That was an unbelievable spot. I think that's what got the crowd the most. Rey then goes for a Hurricanrana from the ladder onto Dragon Lee, but Dragon Lee reverses that into a Styles Clash. JD McDonagh hits a Spanish Fly on Dragon Lee off the ladder. Penta then hits a Destroyer on JD on a ladder that's bridged on another ladder and the corner. Eventually, Javon Evans is going for the belt, but Rusev takes away the ladder from beneath him, so he's just hanging in the air off the belt, and Rusev drags Javon down. Rusev is climbing, but Javon Evans hit an OG cutter from the corner off the ladder. Here's the thing. A really cool visual. Unfortunately, Rusev had to kind of dive off the ladder to get put into this cutter, so that's the predetermined part of pro wrestling that just was a little bit too obvious on that spot. Incredible visual, though. Javon's an incredible athlete. Penta then hits a destroyer on not JD McDonagh. He hits a destroyer on Javon Evans, and he grabs the belt and wins. He retains the belt in a multi-man ladder match. When does that happen? But great. Penta's momentum gets a barrel on through. I thought this was a fun match. This is a really good match.
Yeah, no, I was really happy with the outcome. And you know what? There was actually some pretty good high spots where where I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. Yeah, I was a little, like I said, I was a little worried right off the hop when three of the guys were in the ring, and I was like, of course. So I was already in a bad mood going into it, but they won me back. They did win me back going into it. Yeah, like I said, the only other one I thought maybe I didn't really see Ray, but I thought maybe Javon. But unfortunately, he's not 38 yet, so give it some time, kid. Penta's still on top. Yeah, he's still got to pay his dues. But no, I was happy because that was kind of one thing where I said too, you really don't see the title retained a lot in these kind of matches. And I think Penta's a good face to kind of have in that mid card division for the Intercontinental Championship. So I'm happy to see him still with the title.
He's got more time. Would like to see him at that main event scene eventually, but this is still pretty good for now. All right, speaking of the mid card, Sami Zayn taking on Trick Williams. He's defending the men's United States Championship. Nobody is singing to Sami Zayn's song. This poor guy. Lil Yachty introduces Trick Williams, who is beloved by this Las Vegas crowd. Yachty is pumping up Trick's tires during his entire entrance. Trick's jacket, this white jacket he has, it's longer than Randy Orton's entrance. And then Trick's entrance is then getting as long as both the jacket and Randy Orton's entrance. So Sammy is punching Trick and stomping him while he's in the ropes. He then takes out Lil Yachty on the outside, throws him into the barricade. It feels like they're finally pulling this heel turn on Sammy. Sammy hits a brainbuster on Trick on the apron. He hits a haluva kick on the outside, and he's going for the countout win. A well-earned countout win it would have been, but Trick gets in just in the nick of time. Sammy is going for haluva kick again, but Lil Yachty pulls down Sammy on the top rope. Trick then hits a spinning kick for a near fall. Sammy hits an exploder suplex in the corner, goes for a haluva kick, but Trick hits the trick shot to become the new champion. As mentioned, 7 minutes or so, very abrupt. This was as good a match as the two men were going to have in 7 minutes. Trick won clean, basically, which is good. He did not need the Lil Yachty interference. Let's no longer leave any shades of gray. Let's just have Trick a full-on babyface, and Sammy is a full-on heel if these men are going to feud. But within 7 minutes, yeah, this is as good as it's going to get, but it feels like the right man won.
Yeah, I'm really happy for Trick. It's funny, because Trick was absolutely the right call here. He's absolutely the future. These, fans are eating him up. He's got that presentation. He's like, I think he's just got everything WWE would be looking for to be a star. Um, but it was funny because obviously, we're big Sami Zayn guys. We've been following him for a long time. It is crazy how quick it turns. Because just 3 years ago there was, discourse on whether he should be entered into Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns because he was so over. And it's just crazy to see how much that's fallen
Yep.
since then. And I
That's what
think
happens
even
when you
to go
That's
ahead.
what happens when you beat a guy for 3 years. That's just
Yeah.
what happens when you just beat him and beat him
Um
and beat him and beat him, and don't give people any reason to have faith in him.
yeah. But it was interesting too, just thinking of that, and then like even I don't know how much he caught. I didn't watch the Hall of Fame, but I caught Stephanie like saying like B plus players like Sami Zayn. I was like, that's a shoot insult. Like that's like there's no story there. That's just her fucking yeah. So it's interesting. Just because obviously, Sammy was white hot and
Mhm.
just yeah, over I mean, even like fuck, he beat Gunther 2 years ago. Yeah, like just what a fall for him. Now I'm sure it's looking like they'll likely turn him heel. I don't know if he'll work Trick again. I think it'll probably be one of those, well, you people, each and every one of you, kind of. I think it'll be a lot of that.
Yep.
And then just have him work some babyface. But I
What?
see him and Trick done, and I see him out of the title picture for a while
I think
now.
they're gonna have a. I think they're gonna have a rematch. I mean, if the point is to have, look, Trick's not a great worker right now, but he can be carried to a good match, and Sammy's as good a worker as they come. So because it doesn't seem like they fully pulled the trigger on Sami Zayn being a heel, like just a little bit of doubt left. I think he could stretch it for another show or two, maybe give him a lot more time. Really, this match should have gone longer. I would have sacrificed the Finn Balor Dom time for this match, quite frankly. I think it was more needed. So I think there's still a bit more value in Trick and Sammy, but no, give Trick all the time he can get because, yeah, he may not be the best worker right now, but you know what? Back in the day, you have heels calling matches in the ring, helping these baby faces look good. Ric Flair made a Hall of Fame career out of that. Like, let the good workers you have carry Trick around to be a star. I mean, you have a roster for a reason. Let them play their roles.
Yeah, that's fair.
Hmm. Speaking of said Finn Balor Dominic Mysterio match, it is now a street fight. So Dom is on a throne and is being pulled by multiple men in lucha masks. There is a heart on the top of the entrance ramp, and the demon Finn Balor touches it and does his entrance. It's him on his more cooler looking demon gear. His entrance video, I hate to bring this piece of medium back up. Uh his entrance video kind of resembles the human centipede poster here. That's all, especially when it went from like red to white. That's all I could see. It was very brought up some bad memories.
I didn't
Uh,
see that, but I'll have to go back and take a look at it again to see if
all
it
I could
pops to me.
see. Unfortunately, rest of my 90% of my brain just still had that stored. I'm like, beans. Thought I forgot it. So it's a WWE street fight. It's sort of the same as what I mentioned about Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu. It sort of applies here. There is a limit on how much violence you can have, and these kendo sticks are just all over the streets of Kamloops and Nanaimo. They're just lingering everywhere for criminals just to use as weapons. Dom hits Finn with a frog splash, but the demon kicks out at one. Dom throws Finn into the table into the corner. Hits a 619 with a chair wrapped around Finn's head. Dom hits a frog splash, but it is not the finish. Dom is then wailing on Finn with a chair. Now Finn is wailing on Dom with the chair. He hits a dropkick into the corner with a chair on Dom's head. He hits the coup de grace through the table for the win. The match is fine for the most part. I think it probably had the least amount of heat on the show. I would have been okay with the demon squashing Dom in a minute or two and just giving more of that time to Sammy and Trick, but it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed this a little bit more than I thought I was gonna. I don't know if the stipulation maybe helped. Um, and even like I don't know, I remember going into this before, like in the last few weeks, I kind of thought Dom needed the win, but after seeing the Demon again for the first time in what 3 years now, and I think it was the right call having Finn go over here.
Hmm. Moving on, Jade Cargill is defending the WWE Women's Championship against Rhea Ripley. Now, this is weird. There's just some guy named Adam Weitzman joining Michael Cole and Wade Barrett on commentary. He didn't speak a word. Who is this guy?
From what I in my 5 seconds of research, um, I saw that apparently he's this CEO of some company who wanted to just buy a seat. Again, I can't confirm this, but this is just from what I've seen. And yeah, it was really weird. It's funny. So one of the in my I don't know if you can hear the ambulance next to me here, but we were talking about this in one of my theater classes in at school, where the French back in this, I think this was like 17th century, 18th century, for plays, they started selling seats on the stage. So back, obviously, this was before social media, before, um, people would buy these seats, well-to-do, extravagant, the top 1% that we might call them today. They would buy these seats to be seen. They were almost like part of the show. They were obviously the audience, but they were sat in there with their big fans and their crazy hats and and their whole goal was to be seen because it was an event, it was a gala. Da, 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 da. And that's kind of what I thought of seeing this was it was just like a really big fan who just said, fuck, I want to show how much money I have. I want to sit next to Wade Barrett. I can get me a seat, Nick. Put me right next to him. And they said, well, if the price is right.
Respectfully, if you have that much money, why don't you just be in the main event then? Why don't you promote
Yeah,
something while
I
you're
don't
out
know.
there? I don't know. Also,
Maybe he has a
Where the
kink for
fuck are
goth
Cody
girls. I don't know.
where the fuck are Corey Graves and Joe Tessitore, by the way? These poor guys, they can't get on the broadcast on either night of WrestleMania, but Adam Weitzman can. And like
I
there's
guess
a
they were
brand
doing
split.
the pre-shows, but
Ah, yeah, the ever so important pre-show. I saw 3 hours of those on my commute today.
you
Ah,
better
these
have seen
poor
both of
guys.
them too, because there was six altogether.
Oh my god. Yeah, there's still a brand split, hypothetically. Michael Cole and Wade Barrett, it was like when Michael Cole talked about Pat McAfee, that's when I realized, oh yeah, this is a SmackDown program. Wait, where the fuck are Wade and Joe? Wait, where the fuck are Joe and Corey actually? That's what kind of hit me. These poor guys. Oh well. So the match though, Jade Cargill's just doing a bunch of power spots on Rhea. Jade's baddies comes out for the distraction and interference. This popped me. Jade hit the one-winged angel on Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, that was wild.
What?
Yeah, that was cool.
It wasn't just Brian Danielson she was training with in AEW. She was getting some
Yeah,
lessons from Big Kenny Omega too. And
fuck
she
yeah.
waited until WrestleMania to pull out the one-winged
Little
angel.
CanCon represent.
Hell yeah. Rhea kicks out though. I don't know if it's just I don't know if it's just Kenny Omega's aura alone that makes people unable to kick out. Maybe it's just maybe Jade, pardon me, over rotated her. I don't know, but that
Yeah,
was
would there
wild.
be strength involved in that, or maybe the height?
Oh,
Well, no, Jade's a bit taller. Because yeah, what would make Kenny's like more devastating in kayfabe?
I'm gonna ask
Because you're
Kenny Omega
falling
this.
from you're falling
Yeah.
from a similar distance.
Mhm.
Um, I don't think the rotation would really make a difference in the pain. But
Maybe
yes, she did kick out.
this is just WWE's way to be like, oh, that fucking move that nobody ever kicks out. Well,
Yeah, the
show.
move's not even that good, anyways. Go ahead, Rhea.
Let's go. All right, so thankfully she got at least to be on the WrestleMania show. Io Sky comes out for entry with entrance and all to take out Jade Cargill's baddies. She does an incredible job taking him out. She even does like a backflip on the floor. I This is my favorite thing of the match, and I'm not sure if you saw it, but like Io Sky, I guess at WWE World or something, she was signing an autograph. I guess she's mentioned like, oh man, I wish you're on the WrestleMania card. And she said, yeah, me too. And
Mm.
she's this unbelievable talent. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't want everyone to be on WrestleMania for the sake of it. I think there is a reason to believe, like, hey, this is the most prestigious show. Not everyone can just be on the show. I can't believe Io Sky was left off this card, though. 2 nights, 8 hours, despite all the ads. I love Io. Best worker in the company. I love her so much. I was sad. This is the one I was
And
sad about.
I will say before she came out too, I did have a feeling, I think I said it out loud too. I was like, this is gonna go the exact same as Liv and Vicaire, where the baddies are gonna interfere and Jade's just gonna retain. So I was really excited to see her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't
Rhea,
know.
yeah.
I know there were talks that, maybe there just wasn't time because we had to fucking promote that Hogan doc. But it seemed like they were going towards her and Asuka. And I just have no fucking idea why they didn't. Maybe we'll see it on Raw now because they like to say, like, oh, it's all a part of the weekend and
It's
WrestleMania is Friday Night
WrestleMania Raw.
SmackDown.
It's more valuable on WrestleMania
Yeah.
Raw. But yeah, poor
So
Io.
yeah,
And we're
I
happy.
really didn't like it.
You know what? I'm happy. You know what? Unlike Stephanie Vaquer, who's a loser who has no friends, Rhea Ripley has at least one friend in storyline. We need more
And maybe a
babyface
lover.
friends. Maybe. We need more babyfaces with more friends at the very least. Actually, I think Io Sky's married to Evil, I think, the old New Japan pro wrestling guy, who might be WWE bound. I think they're married, but I don't know. Maybe Evil's okay with third wheeling Rhea and Io. You never
You never
know.
know. It's
Would be the worst gig in the
2026.
world. Hell yeah,
More
brother.
the merrier.
Let's go. So Rhea headbutts Jade. She goes for Riptide, but Jade counters, hits a big boot, and she's going for Jaded. Rhea counters that, though, hits Riptide for the win. This is a pretty good match, in all honesty. I know I've been pretty hard on Jade recently. This is really good for a Jade match. On the flip side, this may have been Rhea's weakest WrestleMania match. Jade's offense looked pretty good, but you know what? They hid Jade's faults because they had Jade do no selling in this match. And you know what? It's a long-term problem, but you know what? It's WrestleMania. It's the biggest show of the year. You can figure out another time to make Jade Cargill sell more. Tonight was not the night. This is a pretty good match, though.
Yeah, all things considered, this was one of the ones I thought I was a bit more nervous for. Never would have thought I would have enjoyed it more than Stephanie and Liv. So yeah, and I think the right person won. Rhea's kind of when did she lose the women's title? It feels like it's been a while that she's been
It's
kind of
the
out of the
It was like a
title picture
Raw
now.
before WrestleMania last year where she lost to Io, and then Io was in that three-way scenario with
That's right.
her,
Yeah. And then
Bianca
yeah.
Belair, and maybe because Bianca Belair is pregnant and climbing Mount Everest with Tony Storm, she's going to be out for a long time. They realize we're not getting this Jade Bianca payoff anytime soon. Time to
Yeah.
pull the plug for a wee bit.
Yeah.
All right. So, John Cena's back out. He claims 55,000 fans were here tonight. I think that was a little bit of an inflation. I think it's weird. Saturday, I think, was pretty spot on. This might have been a little bit of inflation tonight, but not the most egregious example of WWE inflating their crowds. It's down from last year, but a success considered these godforsaken prices and Vegas just generally appearing to be more costly. So,
I do wonder
John
with the
Cena's
prices how much more it makes up for it, compared to the shows with more. Like if they end up making more on the gate for.
We will lock into the Brandon Thurstons of the world to figure that out.
There
But
you go. There you go.
yeah, there we go. So John Cena's out there. So The Miz comes out with Kit Wilson. At first, I was like, I want a sewer slide, but I ended up liking this a lot, actually.
That's crazy.
I'm not sure. Maybe we have differing opinions on this. I'm not sure if it's just because I wanted one. Maybe just because there was no real other backstage segments or anything like this.
Yeah.
That was
This
just match, advertisement, blah, 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 or all these, and like, yeah, there's no legends of the past coming back to interact with all these, characters of today, so there's that, but, I don't know, I got kicked. So John says, Mike, how are you? I don't know if that got you, that got me, just how formal it was.
No,
After all these fucking years between these two, man, just how formal Cena was here. Cena then asks Kit who he is. Kit Wilson, start saving your money, brother. Like you're, or wait, or get Elton Prince to come back. One of these two. I don't know how long this is lasting for you. Cena gives Miz the floor for a WrestleMania moment, but Danhausen comes out, and it's over. So Danhausen has little people dressed like him, and Ace, we talked about midget warrior wrestling coming to the Merritt Civic Center in just a couple of weeks, and how I'm not comfortable with saying the word midget, but we talked about the first WrestleFest that BIPW held in Nanaimo with the midget wrestling, and how one of the guys cut a promo saying, "This is the little people wrestling. This is midget wrestling." Michael Cole was me, basically. Michael Cole says, and before you get on me about social media, this group asked me to call them midgets. I felt Michael Cole. I felt him with all my feels. Like, I know, brother. I know it's a hard position to be put in.
See, to me, it kind of felt the other way. I don't know. My least favorite brand of comedy nowadays is the ones who say like, "Oh, what are you gonna cancel me?" And so
Oh, yeah.
I felt that with Cole here. Bless his little heart. Yeah,
Okay, first, you don't have to say little, but second of
that's
all,
fair. That's fair. I didn't even think. Oh, I didn't even think of that. Okay.
two birds stoned with one stone.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, Cole, I don't know personally. I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's generally uncomfortable with this, but
I'm sure he was. All
yeah,
aside.
but like, no, that's weird. The whole "I'm canceled" punchline, it's the fucking worst. You're just a bad comedian. There's only one good cancel joke. It was on Smiling Friends. It was on the first Halloween episode of Smiling Friends. I don't have the time to say it here. Just Google or just find the YouTube clip of the first Halloween episode of Smiling Friends in season 1.
I'll
It's
have to
like
look
the
it
only
up.
good canceled joke out there, but it's unbelievable. So, anyways, Danhausen continues. He's driving a little casket-shaped lawnmower. I don't have a lawn, and I need one of those. So Danhausen says he has something to say to John Cena. Cena looks worried, but Danhausen just says, "I'm a big fan." Miz then tells Kit to call the little person toxic, and Kit shoves the little person. The little person then punches Kit right in the balls. And then they all dogpile on him after Danhausen tells him to dogpile him. Danhausen then straight up just punches Miz in the balls. This hero Danhausen. So Cena gives Danhausen the floor. Danhausen does the "you can't see me," then the "you are cursed." Finishes the 5 knuckle shuffle. The little people then carry out the Miz like they're the Undertaker's druids. And Danhausen hits Cena with a "you can't see me" in broad daylight. A little smoke screen goes off, and Danhausen just pretends to disappear. Here's the thing. This is a fucking Vince McMahon segment. If I ever saw one, I would not be surprised if he's pulling the strings behind the scenes and he called for this exact segment, or if this is Bruce Pritchard doing a birthday favor to Vince McMahon. I'm not sure if I just need like a little variety. I did find some joy out of this. I don't like little people being the punchline of jokes because, aha, they're little. No, I don't like that. But there were parts of the segments that did bring me a little bit of joy. I get the sense you did not find the joy as much as I did, so I'll let you get the
No,
floor.
yeah. Um, I remember joking with my dad about it, where I said like, because Cena was laughing at Danhausen, and I think I said, I think the only reason he's laughing is because this isn't his fucking problem anymore, and he gets to just take off and like, he's just like, well, fucking see you guys later. Uh, yeah, I don't know. It just really did do it for me. It felt like one of those cheesy fucking WrestleMania, It wasn't quite as bad. Everything went off, I think, the way it would. I think back to like the Snoop Dogg stuff with Miz or Shane McMahon. It didn't go like bad in that realm. So like I guess if you look at it from that kind of story point or kayfabe point, they hit all their marks. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just a Danhausen thing, which is funny because I do like Danhausen. Um, yeah, it felt weird to me. I don't know. Maybe I felt bad for Kit Wilson, like you said, because oh boy.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. It didn't do it for me. I will say, that being said, you are right about the druid bit. That did get me, where I was like, okay, that's pretty. Even I had to chuckle about it.
We couldn't be too
But yeah,
highbrow or progressive for that. That
no, of
visual.
course not. Yeah, it's like as progressive as I like to think I am as a person, Little People's Court still is one of my favorites. It's just so it's so good. It's just
Yeah, no,
it's amazing.
this was Vince. This was a segment for Vince McMahon that unfortunately made me laugh at parts. But all right. So from here on out, the main event was being teased 2.5 hours into the show. I'm wondering how fucking long are CM Punk and Roman Reigns going on to? Because God bless CM Punk, he is as he's always been skinny fat, but this is probably the most cut he's been in ages, and he's 47 years old, but he never had the makings of a varsity athlete. And he's been getting gassed recently. I'm like, they're not going to make CM Punk go 40, 50 minutes, right? Or even 30 minutes. But now we get to the main event. Thank God we had this main event. Ace, I am not a fan of Phil Brooks, the person, after the last couple of years, but I could not help but respect game enough to whip out this shirt, the CM Punk AW shirt that I put into my closet and never looked at again for 3 years. I couldn't help but put it on just to say, job well done tonight. A very job well done. So the entrances. Roman Reigns has this opera singer, pianist, and drummer to play a wildly great intro for his entrance. And I fast forward to his entrance. I sat through Randy Orton's entrance. I know how long Roman Reigns can walk. I'm
It's too
good.
bad because he did bring back the old theme, which I was happy about.
Yeah, much better. Oh god, much better than whatever that first remix was, or what that
Yeah.
second remix was. I don't know.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. So Roman comes out, and that's when I got the notification on Netflix. The live event has ended. So I'm like, 56 minutes to spare. How long is this going? Uh, so here's the thing. Maybe this is what got me. So CM Punk, his Ring of Honor theme, Miseria Canter, the beginning. It plays as aerial shots of Las Vegas are shown. CM Punk is then shown on the roof of Allegiant Stadium in his classic black and white jacket. Photos of CM Punk's past are being shown. Then there's a burn transition, like you're setting fire to a piece of paper, and then the holes in the fiery paper show. It's showing CM Punk walking backstage. And they fixed his Elimination Chamber entrance in Chicago, where he did like the 96 Bulls thing. They did not just have him walking by people who did not care. They gave him a little tunnel with like some curtains on it. It looked like he had an entranceway. I love that. So more highlights play over him as he's walking backstage. He comes out to the fans with no music beyond that. He soaks it all in. It's like a minute of silence. He has his late friend, Bo Luders, and his dog Larry on his jacket, as well as 3 late WWE employees. He shouts, "It's clobbering time!" And the cult of personality plays. I got goosebumps thinking about it legitimately. What an entrance. What a goddamn all-time great WrestleMania entrance. For one night, Pepsi Man, Phil Brooks, he's pre-brawl out CM Punk to me. For one night, he's not as good as he
Just when
once
you
was.
thought you were out, they pull you back in.
Back in, and very quickly. So, I, well, before I get my example, Ace, your thoughts on this entrance, because is this just me? Was this an all-timer? I feel like this was an all-timer, but I don't know if it's just me and my lore in history, but I can't recall seeing anything like this at WrestleMania before. I cannot say enough good things at how well done this was.
Yeah, honestly, one of the coolest parts of this, I thought, was the choice to kind of like pause the music for a bit, so it was just silent. Right before Cult of Personality kicked in after it's clobbering time. Um, yeah, I thought what's funny? I mean, obviously last year he got his main event. I'm gonna say it right now, even, we were talking about it yesterday or yesterday. We were talking about it from last night's show with Orton and Rhodes. I don't consider night one a main event. I don't know if it's
Oh,
just because I look at it as a collective, but I never have. I've always, even the one time, funny enough, I used to joke that it was the main event was when Jimmy Uso had a main event and CM Punk never did. So that was always one of my favorite jokes. But even last year when they said like, oh Punk, you're finally getting your main event, I didn't really feel like he got it.
No.
Cena and Cody were the main event. And so that being said, that's kind of how I felt with this match, where it's like, okay, this is Punk's real, honest to God, earned one-on-one main event. Again, you could argue and say, well, he's fighting Roman Reigns, but it doesn't matter. He's obviously good enough to be in this position and a big enough name to be in this position where he's fighting Roman Reigns. So I think knowing that going into it kind of put that over for me as well, where it's like, this is really his first time getting that thing that he walked out of the company for, was the main event of WrestleMania, and here he is, the prize fighter, the world champion, walking in with the title. That thing that Vince never really saw him as. Here he is. He's proven them all wrong, and I thought it was a really cool touch honoring tech crew guys that otherwise we'd have no idea. Obviously, Michael Cole was really moved by it too, listing them off, right? That I thought that was really cool, and that was a really sweet touch. And yeah, that was kind of a really nice way to start off the match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll get to WrestleMania for a second. Like his first real, honest to God, well-earned WrestleMania main event. In the second, I agree entirely with you. But this entrance, and we're talking about like, okay, where's the soul of WrestleMania? And God bless entrances like Finn Balor the Demon and Roman Reigns opera music. This felt like a true, honest to God, magical WrestleMania entrance for what was going to be a magical main event because, well, this was a CM Punk debuted on ECW on Sci-Fi under the WWE umbrella just under 20 years ago, and it has been a decades-long journey, and that was mentioned in this entrance. Yeah, this guy just got it, and at first I was thinking like, okay, CM Punk in the year of our Lord 2026 is being asked to go 30 minutes at the age of 27, or not 27, 47. I was like, good fucking luck with that. But Ace, one of my favorite sad songs, and if you want a good sad song when you're sad and you need to feel more sad to let all your sadness out, it's a song by Dan Mangan called Basket. It's a beautiful song about a man who has basically seen time fly by and they're not as good as they once were. Not like in athlete terms, but basically mobility wise, just being able to take care of a dog, go ride a bike, etc., etc. And I always think of that song whenever I'm seeing someone who is not as good as they once were, but they're as good once as they ever were. Like, for example, anytime Max Scherzer started for our Blue Jays in the postseason, I always blasted that song just because I always like to picture it's just Unc laying it out one last time to prove they still got it. And CM Punk, I think he'd admit, yeah, he's not an athlete. Yeah, he's old. In fact, Roman Reigns made that a story. This guy worked his fucking tail off. And did Roman. Okay, I'll get to my final thoughts. I thought this is Roman Reigns' best match since the first Cody match nearly 3 years ago at WrestleMania. I thought this might have been Punk's best match since the Drew McIntyre Hell in a Cell. Not that he's been slacking for the last couple months. I just really, really love this. So, it's a little bit of an aura farming contest to start because it's going to be a long match. And as mentioned, Punk, he needs to preserve his energy. So Roman throws Punk into the crowd, and after a bit of crowd brawling, Punk hits a springboard lariat. He uses the barricade as a rope, gets back into not like into the ring, but like just on the outside floor. He uses that to hit a lariat. Punk is then taunting on the announce table, and Roman throws him on the floor. Just Punk takes a flat back bump onto the floor. It's WrestleMania, brother. If you're going to do that bump, you're going to do it here at WrestleMania. Punk is starting his comeback like 10 minutes in. Then Roman throws him into the post and hits a Superman punch of his own. And at this point, I'm like, there's 30 minutes left in the show. What is going to happen? Roman is setting up for the spear, but Punk hits him with a pair of knees. Punk then does a dive to the outside, and he punches Roman Reigns on the table. He's punching him and punching him and punching him. Punk is then climbing to the top rope. He's hinting for his diving elbow to the outside to the announce table. Roman Reigns thankfully cuts him off because I'm like, This is CM Punk. He doesn't have the makings of a varsity athlete. He's 47 years old. He can't reach this announce table. Boy, what a fool I was. But we'll get to that soon. Punk is in the Tree of Woe, and Roman Reigns is hitting him with Superman Punch after Superman Punch after Superman Punch. Now, Ace, I love this match with all my heart, but I don't know if there's many perfect matches out here, and this is the biggest wart on this match. It's funny this conversation came up, or pardon me, this spot happened after a talk about Kenny Omega and MJF and the fucking table at Dynasty.
Yes.
Roman Reigns just straight up hits CM Punk with the steel steps. Now look, I'm sure the pro wrestling rulebook's like 8 inches thick. This was a black and white disqualification. The match should have ended here. This was bullshit. This was dumb.
So now, because every time I complain about something like this, you usually jump into me and go, you don't sound like this, but you go, oh, referee's discretion. And so that voice played in my head when he fucking swatted him with stairs. And if you'll remember from the last podcast, I believe what I said was, I think the stairs work as canon is because you don't use the stairs as a weapon. You get thrown into the stairs. The stairs were used as a weapon here. They were, yeah. And even Cole, I think he mentioned it a couple times too, with when they would leave to go outside, where he's like, well, he's going to give him ref's going to give him a bit of leeway here. It is the main event of
this
WrestleMania.
is like the first time they've ever done this, I want to say.
Because it was very blatant. It was, yeah.
That was why, like, CM Punk hits a Lobo later. I mean, you might as well just do it in front of the referee. Steel steps are legal. You felt they were legal. That was stupid. I loved it, but it was stupid. So CM Punk is bleeding. He's bleeding from the mouth. He also gigs. This guy's just the greatest wrestler on God's green earth today. Roman Reigns then powerbombs Punk through the table. Roman is fucking locked in for the first time in what feels like forever. And maybe it's because he's weighing the belt, so he wanted to bring it too. So at this point, Punk is gushing. At this point, he's the absolute babyface now, in my opinion. It wasn't like that for the rest of the match, but at this point, he definitely was. Roman's going for a spear, but Punk catches him for the GTS. Roman barely gets the shoulder up. Roman then spears Punk for a near fall. Roman is frustrated. He's shoving Punk's head into the canvas, kind of rubbing his face in like it's sandpaper. Getting mad. He's so mad about that. Roman says it's time to go to sleep. He does CM Punk's little taunt. And Roman goes for a GTS of his own, but Punk counters and roundhouse kicks him in the head. Punk is now locking his fist for a Superman punch. And here's the CM Punk's non-athlete. This is the ugliest ass Superman punch I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
That's always the beauty of CM Punk, though, in a sense. Like, it's like his fucking elbow drop. It's always terrible. It's never good, but he still does
like
it.
Cena's STF, Like I don't think he ever torqued that properly, but it's part of the charm.
No. He almost put it in. Like, I remember there's one spot where Chris Jericho was about to be in the STF. It was on like a Raw. Might have been like 08 or something. Before Cena locks us in, Jericho just taps because I don't think he wanted to be put in.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Cena he just shouted, "You have to tap out." It felt very who's the guy of Mice and Men who just doesn't know his own strength?
George and Lenny. Yeah,
George
Lenny's strength.
Yeah. John Cena's Lenny with this STF at once upon a time. And then eventually he's just not touching him at all. So
I always thought that with the that actually the one you mentioned being at the I Quit match with Miz in 2011, where like you hear Miz kind of wince, like I always felt like maybe he caught him under the chin a little bit too tight there as well.
That was a shoot. Cena really wanted to win that I Quit match that night. All right. So Punk then steals the Ula Fala from a fan, not Roman's, but it's merch. Punk then wears this fake Ula Fala. He goes for a spear, but Roman catches him, puts him into a guillotine. Punk rolls him out and locks in the Anaconda Vice. Roman punches and shoves Punk's face, then locks in the guillotine again. Punk gets out again. He's going for the sharpshooter, but Roman Reigns kicks Punk in the face, and Punk just sells. He falls forward flat, right back into Roman Reigns' guillotine. Punk then rolls him up for a near fall. This is where this match gets really fucking great. This is already great. This is a struggle. This is a fight. This is not a acrobatic contest. This is not a 5-star match as
It's
Michael.
one of your 5-star classics. Yeah.
It's not a 5-star classic. It is, but it's not their version, their perception of it. This is unbelievable. So at this point, they're countering everything. They're grappling. The fans are split. It's like 50-50. These two are talking trash. They're chopping and they're punching and they're kneeing and they're headbutting. And it's great. And Punk is bleeding. He headbutts Roman and then he sells his own head because he's bleeding. He's selling his own open wound after his headbutt. I love
That
that
does
spot.
also hammer home the old Samoan strong head myth too.
Yeah, god
I don't
damn.
know if they went that deep about it, but I did think of that.
You see, I think that I want to say that's more. I know it's a wrestling trope. That's more problematic than Danhausen and the little people, in my opinion, in terms of maybe we should leave that trope in the past. I don't know. Oh boy. So Punk does sell his own head after getting headbutted because he's bleeding. So this might be my favorite spot of the match. Punk is taking off his wrist tape to indicate, all right, I'm taking the gloves off. And he throws at Roman Reigns. Let's fight. But the referee kicks this thrown wrist tape away. And during this distraction, Punk hits Roman with a low blow. He is a desperate old man now. He's running out of gas. He's running out of fuel. His stamina's down. And he hits the GTS afterwards. But Roman Reigns kicks out. Punk is then elbowing him over and over and over and over again. Roman's on the announce table, and after I was relieved that Punk didn't attempt this, he's trying again. I'm like, don't do this. Don't do this. It was a bowling shoe, ugly elbow drop, but he hit the table, and he went right through the Roman Reigns and the table. Shout out CM Punk. Punk then GTS's Roman, and Roman does the spot where he falls into the rope, and he falls back forward onto CM Punk's shoulder. This spot has been done with every member of the Shield now. Jon Moxley's the only one to ever do this well. It's only ever looked good with Jon Moxley. That's something he can put in his hat, put a feather in his cap.
It looked especially bad with Roman, I felt too.
Oh, Roman's just too big for this. Like Seth always looked far too predetermined, but Roman was just far too big, and Roman
Seth's spinning with it and shit. Seth's trying to get all fancy.
Yeah, Jon Moxley's just like, oh man, I died. I'm gonna die some more here. Hell yeah,
I don't
Mox.
like the spot though. I've never been huge on the spot. I don't know why.
I loved it. It was only good for Jon Moxley that one time, and maybe it's CM Punk wanting to leave AEW behind. It was like, no, Jon Moxley wasn't that fucking great, and it's never looked as good as that day at All Out. But so CM Punk is going for his second GTS after hitting the first one, but as mentioned, he's old. He's watching his prime slip away from his hands. He's run out of gas, and he just collapses. And Roman, he recovers. He hits Punk with a spear. Punk gets right back up. He tries to bitch slap Roman, but he stumbles a little bit forward and misses. Roman then hits another spear for the win. Clean as a whistle. An excellent main event. Old man Punk, I hated Roman calling him old during the build, but Punk has been getting gassed as far back as like that Gunther match at SummerSlam. He just could not last 35 minutes here. He gave it his all. He looked great. Roman Reigns is the new champion. I really had to think about this, and maybe this is just me still feeling on a high after this match ended just a couple hours ago, but I think this was one of the greatest WrestleMania main events of all time. I think this is one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. It hit all the right notes of what you want to see in a WrestleMania main event. This is the best match Roman has had in fucking years. One of CM Punk's best since his WWE return. I genuinely cannot say enough good things about this. And after a terrible week of PR for WWE, after an awful day one of WrestleMania, they stuck the landing. this match, this main event was ungodly great.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. It was funny. You're talking about Old Man Punk. The way you described, what do you say, basket for that song?
Mhm.
Um, I'm not sure. I am actually. I know you're probably not familiar with it, not being a country guy. You also there said a Toby Keith lyric,
Oh,
which
I
was
am aware of
crazy to me
that.
at first. Okay,
Mhm.
you are okay. Yeah. So the
Yeah, yeah.
first second you said that, I was like, "What the fuck?" But it, it's definitely, it was definitely a great match, and I think it really saved this weekend from being an
Mhm.
all-time stinker. And it
Yep.
just goes to show that, like, I know, they've been having this fight for years about wrestling being a dirty word. But like when you just fucking let them wrestle, it's good. It's, when your storytelling is done in the ring, I'm a guy who's always been big on storytelling.
Mhm.
When I was younger, I was never huge on, just, athletics for athletics sake. I used to always say like, well, if I wanted like a legit competition that way, I'd go watch, UFC or something because that's a competition where they're being athletic and that's what I would do. But I love the storytelling and I always have, and that's always been what sucked me in. But that being said, the best storytelling is the storytelling that's done in the ring. And you talk about too, even like with Punk and kind of this being his last swan song. One thing I thought of when you had said, the GTS spot, that was his way of leaving like AEW and Moxley behind, whatever. When he did the low blow spot, throwing the wrist tape at him, I thought of MJF. I was like, that could have been something he picked up from him, right? That was right out of Max's book.
Mhm.
Um, and it's just think that's what's so cool about wrestling in that sense, where you get these linear stories that are literally told, over years, decades, like callbacks to things that happened before certain people started watching, when they first started watching. And it's so cool when it's done. Like, don't get me wrong, wrestling, as we talked about for a lot of the beginning of this show, when it sucks, it is fucking awful. When it's good, it is just so fucking good. And I think that the main event, for lack, just depending on if you were happy Roman won, if you're upset he won, it's just when it's good, it's fucking good. And it really saved this show from going down as an all-time stinker because there was a lot to complain about on it. But
Mhm.
you know, got a couple balls and strikes. TKO stuck the landing, through all those Hogan commercials, through every beer commercial, through every they made it in the end, and it was a great match. As for the actual decision, I think most of us saw Roman winning it. Um, there was an argument for Punk. I was kind of glad too because Punk could be one of those guys where you see like the boo boo face and doesn't try as hard because he's given it up. And I think that you could tell throughout the last few weeks, it almost felt like Punk's audition to not lose the title.
Mhm.
Like he really felt like I really got to step my fucking thing up. Um, and that just makes for the best fucking wrestling when they're legitimately competing, even though they're not legitimately competing. Because they're both top guys and they both want that belt, shoot and kayfabe. And I think that's what makes it so perfect. And I loved this match. It was great.
Mhm. Loved it. And yeah, as mentioned, the TKO, despite all the ads, all the celebrities, all the swerves and everything, the Cody and Randy match, at the end of the day, is the most beloved thing about wrestling, WrestleMania weekend? Wrestling. What a fucking novel concept that wrestling fans or people going to a wrestling show may want to see wrestling. And God, what an old school main event this was. We'll see what happens in the weeks and months to come, but thank God this match happened. And yeah, it saved the weekend. It saved a terrible week for WWE PR, for the product. It stuck the landing, and yeah, it still gives you a little bit of hope at the end that hopefully, you know, the business won't be dead, and that maybe even the most evil corporate ghouls can kind of find a way to not completely lose track. And hey, the next time WWE has a boom period, hopefully they don't try to monopolize the industry again. But you can't teach old Tiger, new tricks in that case, I suppose. But we will see. Anyways, that was WrestleMania weekend. I'd say you do not have to watch night one. Night two is a pretty good show, top to bottom, especially if you can fast forward through all those commercials. Watch the main event of night two, though. Yeah, generally an all-timer. Other than that, Ace, I've got a buddy here for a week. We're going to be out of town, coming back in town. Well, here's the thing. We're leaving on Saturday, going to catch a Vancouver Canadians game and a Whitecaps game.
Yeah, there you go.
Hang out with some buddies from Nanaimo as well. And then head back here on the Sunday. He'll be heading back home on the Monday. So we'll not be free for a Sunday pod, but what's your schedule looking like? Are you still enjoying post-university time for the most part? Can you do a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, maybe a few Saturdays or Sundays a year? What's your schedule looking like?
I could probably rip a Monday. Yeah, so you're thinking next Monday for the next show?
Potentially next Monday, yeah. If
Okay.
that may work.
I could let's tentatively write that in because I could probably make that work. Yeah, I was gonna say the only thing other would be Raw, but I mean that'd be perfect to be watching that. So to cover whatever we're covering. Yeah, I think that'll be good too because that'll give us enough time for kind of the Mania fallout. See how they follow up with Darby over on Dynamite. Actually, you know what? That might be good to shoot. Yeah, because that's after the 25th, which I should be in Duncan for the VIPW
Hey,
show. So I think that'll kind of give us enough to go off there.
hey Joe. No, we dig that. We got a plan. We at least have concepts of a plan. So at least we're not putting a bow on our coverage just on WrestleMania weekend. Time's arrow marches forward. Other than that, that was WrestleMania weekend, and we get in WWE, I guess it's a whole new season, but there is no off season in wrestling, I suppose. It's year round. But until we're here again, I'm Aaron Schultz. He is Corey Ace Trelaw. This is Cupcheck Wrestling. We're the big boys. Play with each other.